characters, and it's real fun. Mickey Mouse is. Oh, we're live. What up? Mickey Mouse is the.
Oh wait, sorry. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mickey Mouse is not the comment that we're talking about. But yeah, Mickey Mouse and all the other characters, Donald Duck. It's really cool because they got defense, offensive players. They got a nice little system. But then it was fun until you started playing online and you started playing grown men from Romania who modded their stuff, and they're just like shoot, like lapping my. And I'm not that bad at the game. And I'm thinking about me and the other little kids because you can tell, like just by the names, you can tell if they're kids, and a lot of kids play the Switch, and I know it's literally like me and a bunch of kids versus a Romanian bot.
Well, just the short version is that people who modded, or at least a large portion of them, they were fine with that situation, that setup. But now at this point, if they mod it, Nintendo won't let them access the game at all. Like they can't even play the game offline.
If they mod the Switch itself,
Yeah. Or the
wow,
game or anything. If they do anything that Nintendo doesn't want them to do, they can just block their access to play the game that they bought. Online, offline, doesn't matter.
that's lame, bro. Just
Yeah.
want to say that out loud.
But it's crazy because man, it's Allah is very subtle. I'll just say that. He's very subtle because um all these things just started coming together at the same time. I'm getting this information about the Switch, and I'm listening to this lecture from this guy who I've low key been sitting on him because I knew he was a gold mine. I was like, you know how you see something good, and like, all right, I'm gonna wait to tap into that because I know it's gonna be good, and I want to be ready for it. So I was kind of doing that, but at the same time, I listened to some of his stuff already, like one or two videos of him just talking, and so I knew what I was getting myself into. Um, but I was like, I was holding off on bringing it up because I feel like you're either going to love him or hate him, and I feel like it's going to be an interesting dynamic to kind of watch you go through that process. But anyway,
Interesting.
but he was talking about one of the things he was talking about in one of his videos was this new world that we exist in now, and it's just funny how everything just kind of
Does
weaves
it have
together.
anything to do with 15-minute cities?
15-minute cities, no. Um, But yeah, let's get started because I have so much I want to talk to you about today. Starting with uh, you remember one of our previous discussions, actually our last discussion, not on live, but we were talking about um the duopoly, right?
Yeah.
And you were mentioning something to me about the libertarians blocking the appointment of a Supreme Court justice. But I was looking
It
into
was
it
the
and I
Tea
couldn't find
Party.
anything about that. So could you like kind of maybe I misheard you? Can you explain that a
Yeah,
little
it
more to
wasn't the
me?
libertarians. It was the Tea Party, actually.
Tea
Um,
parties. I thought the Tea Party was libertarians.
no, the Tea Party was an offshoot of the Republican Party that was like early MAGA. Libertarians are a little more center than MAGA. MAGA's like far right. But even before MAGA existed, the Tea Party was this. I don't even really want to give them air, but yeah, pre MAGA, just like radical America First type Republicans that felt that the Republicans were too were too moderate and progressive. And I forget exactly because I didn't agree with any of their stances, so I forget exactly what their platform was, but they were like within the Republican Party, and they broke off from the Republican. They didn't even break off from the Republican Party. They just like were stubborn enough to not vote with the Republican Party, even though they were elected as Republicans. And so they started branding themselves as Tea Party members. And so for about
So
10
wait, did they
years,
start off as Republicans or did they end up
yeah,
as Republicans?
no, they started off as Republicans. They were Republicans on the ballot. It's just because they stuck together and voted against the Republican norms, they formed this new like internal Republican coalition that we coined the Tea Party, and
Uh-huh.
it lasted for about 10 years. They're not libertarian. They do overlap. You're right in the sense that there is some overlap with their policy beliefs because they're both for like get the government out of our pockets and
Yeah. Yeah.
our information. So they
Yeah.
do share some beliefs, but the Tea Party is the party I specifically was talking about.
Okay.
because they were within the Republican Party, just like the Squad. The Squad was a group of five progressive Democrats that were within the Democratic Party, and they were supposed to be this five group of gangster women, not gangster women, but women who were like supposed to shake things up. You had one that was a waiter, like two of them were black women, one was like this Muslim lady, and the Muslim chick is the only one who's still been holding it down, but all of them have been defanged or taken out of power. But anyway, when they did have a chance, when they were in power, they had a small chance where because the Tea Party within the Republican Party was maybe 7 to 14 members,
You're
but
sounding a little muffled. Not bad, but just a note for our quality's sake. It sounds like not as good as it normally does.
how about now?
That's more clear, yeah.
I think I was on the back side of the mic.
Okay, that makes sense.
But so the Tea Party back in this was when we were in college, 2012 time, maybe yeah, about a little bit before that, but it was only about 7 to 14 of them. And what they did was, well, for one, they started voting against, they started outwardly distinguishing themselves from mainstream Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started like getting more power because they created a mini coalition. And because what you realize is there's 400 and something congressmen, but with 5 to 7 Republicans that were breaking up those, because ordinarily they vote on party lines, but with just 5 to 7 of them voting against party lines, or even filibustering, it created just enough drama and enough sticking points to where back when Obama was in president, one of the Supreme Court justices died, and it's standard practices for the last 200 years that it's supposed to be like pretty cut and dry, 2 month vetting process, president nominates, blah blah blah, and this is the Supreme Court. That's how it's been. But because they recognize the power of the Supreme Court and they recognize their power as a small minority voting bloc, the Tea Party held the line, and it was a little easier because the Republican Party also didn't want to do anything to help the Democrats. So it is a little different there where they worked within their party a bit, but they still formed this kind of like outlier vote that held strong in order to stop Obama from being able to appoint a Supreme Court justice. And I mentioned that because it just was it was a small stumbling block because it was only for a few months, long enough for Obama to be out of office, and then the next president, who was Trump, could nominate. Blah blah blah. I mentioned that because Biden said in the campaign trail he was supposed to restore the soul of America. He was gonna codify Roe v. Wade, and even I don't even give a crap if you agree or disagree with Roe v. Wade. He made campaign promises to his constituents and his voting bloc, and the Squad was a part of that little voting constituency, and they had a small majority um for about 2 years before they got voted, before like enough got voted out. You know how it goes. So they had a small majority for 2 years where they could have like done something, but they never filibustered. They never stood on any issue that they wanted to get across. The campaign, the fight for 15, even there was so many things that they had all campaigned on, but they did nothing when they had the opportunity to just like slow down the process. The process always gets slowed down,
So
but it's
like
never
typical
slowed down for good.
politicians.
Say that again.
I said so like typical politicians.
Yes, like typical politicians. But my point is the Tea Party, unlike typical politicians, kind of did the idea of like we're going to slow the government down based on what we believe in.
Right, but
Even
not
if
based on what voters asked for or anything like that. Like they didn't use this as a campaign to run on. This is just something they were already in office and that they wanted to do for their own
well,
agenda.
yeah, that's a tough call. Say that last part again.
Just saying it was something that they wanted to, they were already in office. They didn't use this as a platform to run off of. They had already been elected into office as Republicans, and this is just something that they wanted to do for their own agenda.
Yeah.
So help me understand how this is an example for third party success if they're actually not a third party. They're like just Republicans. Because the main thing. Oh wait, you're disconnected. Good old Desmond. All right. Hey, you back with us? Calling Damadez. Calling Damadez. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. See, this is why I need to have like a radio show open. And we lost our only. See? Yeah, yeah, see? Not going to say anything about that. Come on, D. What are you doing? Let me just call this guy. What's my battery looking like? Not great. Not, not great.
Test 1 2 3.
All right, welcome back.
That's what happens when you don't plug your phone in and it gives you no warning that it's dying.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that's what you were streaming off of. Okay.
I mean, there's no warning. It used to give me a warning. Now it's like, nah, bro. You're gonna have to see for yourself or witness the chaos.
Yeah, that sucks. We had a viewer on. Oh wait, maybe that was you. Are you watching our stream on Facebook?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we have a viewer on Facebook. When you cut out, like they gave it like 30 seconds and then they dipped. Um,
Who was it?
anyway, I have no idea who it was. It just tells me somebody's watching from your stream. Um,
Anyway.
yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
Sorry about that.
no
Now you
worries.
get to my crazy closet corner. Let me get my virtual background back. Feel naked.
Oh, we got two in here now. Okay, so I was just asking about how you, because we were talking about the Tea Party, right? But now that we've kind of cleared it up, and I know it's not the Libertarians, now I'm wondering how that relates to third party success if they're not actually a third party, they're actually just Republicans.
It's not really about the third parties. I mean, it is about the third party with success. It's just a matter of it takes a few to muddy the system enough.
Right, but here's the point that I think needs to be worked into this explanation is that we're not just talking about people sticking together, right? The thing about the Tea Party is they were already in office, they were already elected as Republicans. So when we're talking about third party, they won't have those existing party structures. They won't have the funding pipelines. They won't have all that stuff to get into the room first.
Yes, that is obvious and apparent, but that's only a factor of them never having a viable chance because of what you just said.
Right. So
Well,
that's what I'm
that's like
saying.
literally circular logic. They don't ever have any kind of monetary funds and support because no one knows about them. No one knows about them because no one thinks that the third party exists or viable.
Is that why they don't have money, or is it because the interest groups that fund these parties don't want these people in office?
No, it's the interest groups don't want third parties in office. They
That's
want
what
the
I said.
duopoly.
That's what I
But
said.
it's not these individual people. I
No,
guess
that
it might be.
it's the people and what they represent. The
I
fact that
represent,
they're not in these two parties.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of it. But yes, I completely agree with that. But some of these people have never even stood up. A lot of these people won't even run because they know the system's destroyed. It's only now that people are fed up to the point where there's a lot of there's a real independent movement to, quite frankly, do it the right way. Because before, independents were moderates or like in the middle or libertarian or just like not a thing. There was never a coalescing idea of what an independent movement could be or what a third party movement can be. And for the first time now, there's a clear mandate that, like, even amongst, there's a bunch forming, but they all have similar ideologies where corporate billionaires must leave, and some level, it varies, but some idea of populism needs to take way, where like where the people's voices are actually being held. How that looks, who's running it, is different among these third parties. But there was never, at least from my understanding, there was never an opportunity or like a desire to do the third party situation, because everybody was for team red, team blue, or the few that were in the middle.
So here's where I stand on this, because I think I understand better where you're coming from, but I still strongly disagree with one. I haven't seen any viable actual like path to getting a third party in,
I would
and then
love.
on and
It
then on
doesn't have
top
to
of that,
be. I real quick. It does not have to be third. It could just be independent. That's also a viable option.
that's third though. Independent is the third, other than the other two. You have Republican, you have
Okay.
Democratic, you have Independent. That's third. That's three.
Okay.
So I haven't seen that pathway to get one of them in. And then on top of that, I don't see how them getting in would solve anything, because just like if you look at the Tea Party, like, it's kind of a good example of how the system is already equipped to just absorb and neutralize movements rather than letting them operate independently. But black people have been told to vote their way to freedom for 200 years basically. But the fundamental economic and social disparities that we've been dealing with since then still exist today. And so, like, every few decades, you see like a new wave of political hope, and it's packaged to make people feel like they can beat the system. Yes, we can. But just playing his game, or just by playing his game harder, history's shown that the machine just adjusts, co-opting movements, suppressing them, like with the civil rights that were gained and then eroded by mass incarceration and economic exploitation.
Yeah.
Then you have like this independent voting thing. It doesn't actually, like, it feels like it's a rebellion, right? You feel like you're sticking it to the system, but power in America isn't determined by just votes, right? You still have, beyond just like the big stuff like the electoral college, you still have like more important stuff that people don't even, that's not even as widely known about as the electoral college, like the lobbying, like the money, the corporate influence, the stuff that happens in the back rooms, systemic gatekeeping, whatever you want to call it. So what is the strategy beyond voting? Like, what happens when independent candidates get choked out by a lack of funding or media attention? The machine isn't built to just like allow enough votes to change it. It's built to neutralize threats like way before they ever reach that point.
I think you're thinking a lot. That's a First and foremost, I appreciate the sincerity that you asked that question, because that is where the rubber meets the road. Um, but I think you're thinking about it far too grandiose and on the national large scale. Our victories have to be piecemeal, grassroots, and one by one. And I use Seattle, Washington as an example. I use Canada as an example.
Well,
When Canada got,
Canada doesn't really. I mean, I'll let you say your point, but I just want to point out that's a different system.
it is a different system, but hear me when I say it starts locally. That's
Hmm.
how we do this. We don't have to get the entire American populace. We just change a city, we just change a town. And quickly with Canada, give me 1 minute, 30 seconds with Canada and 30 seconds with Seattle as examples of local change that beats this corporate empire or just the system itself. Nowhere in North America had free healthcare, not free healthcare, but universal healthcare for a nation state until Canada. And Canada just did not get healthcare overnight. Moreover, when they did get it, it was the conservative party in government that passed it. They did not pass it because they were so benevolent. What happened was in, I think it was Ontario province, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but it was one of the local provinces. One of the local provinces, um they in their own district, using their own local funds, created a universal healthcare program that did so well in that
Uh huh.
small Ontario province
Yeah, I
that
remember that.
public pressure from like that province doing better than the rest, and just general appeal from seeing something good at hand work, made it where a conservative government, not the progressive government of Canada, had no choice but to pass comprehensive universal health care for Canada.
Okay, real
Same.
quick, real quick. AK, yes, you can come on. The link is the same as before, but I'm gonna put it in the chat anyway. Um, wait, my links don't go to you to Facebook, or
I
my
would
my
disagree
comments
with
don't.
sensationalize your political figure though,
But let him
because
come on and say his piece. Let's get this conversation
yeah,
going.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll just finish this
Um,
while we're setting him up.
yeah, yeah, go for
For
it.
those listening, so yeah, so not Chapel Hill. So Canada, yeah, they got universal health care for their entire citizens. Imagine if California got universal health care and it just went well, and like the standard of living, the infant mortality rate, all that stuff just improves in California within 5 to 10 years. Inevitably, the tide will turn if America can afford it and we still have the level of prosperity we have now, alhamdulillah, then it will eventually, it can may perhaps take over nationwide. Obviously, we're not Canadians. I've met Canadians and they're nicer than most Americans, so there is
Yeah,
that.
that's what I was gonna push back on because can't like I said, it's a completely different system, and Canada seems like the kind of place where that kind of movement could have success. The U.S. is very different from Canada when it comes to that type of grassroots movement. And although there is some overlap, right? You can see situations in America where small little experiments happen before they make it to the national scale, like with the legalization of certain, recreational things.
Yes, that's
Um,
another example.
but hang on,
But
hang on,
let me
hang on, hang on, hang on. But that is not like a across the board thing where anything can have success by following this plan. Certain things will make it through because they have the stamp of approval, because the government can make money off of it, because the government can succeed from it. They're going to, because it fits into what they want to do, then it gets through. But you see how hard that is to implement even nationwide, because there's still going to be some holdout states. But the main point is that it is not like cut and dry, like do this and you'll have success. It's more so if you go for the right thing that they want, then sure, that'll make it through.
I would agree with that only if you have a pessimistic view of the populace. I have not been around the country, but I speak and listen to a lot of independent thinkers, and I listen to them on both sides of the aisle. If you were, they by only both sides of the aisle, I mean like more in the Republican camp and more in the Democratic camp, but all over the place. And what I've seen is like
Wait, one
we
second,
as
one second,
Americans.
one second, one second, one second. Sorry to interrupt you. I gotta do one thing real quick. But AK, I just sent the link. Come on. I'll be back in 1 second.
All right, no. Well, while he's going, I'll just let y'all have it. Um, I guess I'll wait for him to come back. Actually, stand by, folks.
Hey, AK's here. Okay. One second, guys. I had one for this. How do I do this? One second, one second, one second. Banners? No. Media assets? That's the one. And we're going to go this way. There it is. Okay, one second. This is going to look crazy. Um, Edit. This will go, I'll go on the bottom. Let you guys take over. Okay, this will be Desmond. And then we'll use top left for Alaska McLeod. Oh, where'd he go? Where is he? Oh, oops, hang on. Remove.
Well, Matt. If you can only figure out the three-way.
We've got him. We've got him. There we go. All right, buddy, you're in. Okay, you here with us?
Yep, yep. Hello, good
All
fellas.
right. How you
What
doing,
up,
sir?
bro?
I'm all right, man. I just so happened to get to the house and I saw the topic and I was like, oh, let me get in on this. I need in.
Yes,
I love
yes.
it. I love it. Uh-oh, what
Thanks
just
for
happened?
joining, bro.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so Desmond, you were in the middle of something. I had to interrupt you because, you know, being a dad.
No
But you were in
worries.
the middle of explaining something. I forget. What was it?
My biggest pushback was just that we can that as an American populace, you are a bit too pessimistic on what we can do
No,
as a
not the populace. That's not what I'm not saying. I mean, that's a different discussion. I'm not
but
saying you're
that's
necessarily
my
wrong on
point.
that, but I'm saying, is it relevant?
It's not irrelevant because that's my whole point. The problem with the duopoly, the problem with what has been fed down our throats is nobody has been doing what the people have asked for. If you ask,
Right.
so if
Right.
you ask, so my point is, if there's an independent third party that gives the people a actual, even Trump ran on a populist message. That's how he won, but he didn't deliver, and his populist message was a bit tainted with racism. But my point is, there is a
Some might
main,
argue that he won because of Russia, but go on.
yeah, we'll go past that. But my point is, if you had a clean mainstream message, and by clean mainstream message, I mean universal health care like Europe and like Israel, who we pay for their health care, um, a livable wage, not the fucking, excuse me, not the $15 minimum wage stuff, because we're past that given inflation. So now we need to fight for a livable wage, and there's like three or four other like standard things. We don't even got to get into the reparations stuff, but there's a few, because that's far more debatable. But there's a few issues that mainstream Americans agree on, past anything racist or even controversial, just like basic
but
human rights.
But
And that
everything is
Desmond,
even
kind of
that stuff,
controversial.
the
the
Republicans and the Democrats haven't delivered on.
but
Sorry,
that
AK, you
the
wanted to say
problem
something?
the problem with that is the things that you just said are the heavy hitters that Americans want. Those are the very things that you've got the Republicans demonizing as you don't need these things. You don't want the government to give you unlimited health care because the health care could be bad and we want you to
Exactly.
have options. And then we're going to demonize the idea. Then you've got the Democrats that are like, guys, we need this. We need this universal health care. And then you've got it's in the minds of the half of the you at this point we are a 50-50 country. You've got half the country who's going to be like, although I 100% need to be a Democrat, I 100% need the universal health care. A bunch of rich people that I'm never going to meet have told me that I should hate the concept because I don't need a handout from the government, while simultaneously I agree and allow them to receive unlimited handouts from the government. You're going to have to fight
Right.
through that before you get to anything.
See, I
That's
think
why.
there's less people than like that than we think. There are definitely people like that, AK, but I think that's like the 10 to 15% of like cultish folks. I think there's some that can be changed with some like rational logic when you're like, look, the rest of the Western hemisphere has universal health care. and it's working out fine. I got an idea. I
But
feel
you
like they
just
could
said
get.
you just said something that isn't taking place in 50% of the people on this in this country. You said
What's that?
rational. They're not. No one
Exactly.
rationalization. You can't rationalize
And
with
that's
people
what
that
I
don't want.
mean.
But you can't. That's not a
That's
thing,
why I
Desmond. You
think
can't.
you and Matt might be a little more pessimistic on the American people.
I
I
think that.
agree. We
I,
are a bit more dumber than most, but like I
no, no,
think,
no, no. Wait, because it's. I don't think that we're dumb. You have an entire wing of the world that is being told and controlled by an ideology, right? It's
yeah,
just it's you're on a platform about religion. Everything is ideology. If I can think it and somebody can force me to believe this one thing, I'm gonna go that way. And if that's
yeah.
which way I'm going, if you were to open your mouth and tell me not to go that way, we are immediately enemies, and I just can ignore everything else you have to say. So
Pause,
you're
pause, pause,
gonna
pause,
have to
pause.
find.
Real quick, AK. I just want to respond to that. Do you think most people feel would have that reaction that you just said?
they have they are going to have that reaction because the one, we're afraid of the unknown. Okay, we're afraid of what if somebody can come in here and give me universal health care, and it is good. Well, I don't know, man. I just like the old, it sounds un-American. It sounds un-American for me to have to have this thing. It's un-American. Like that's what you're being pitched to you. So that's what people are responding with. They don't feel like that's not the American way. We know that it would probably be the best format of America because we're the richest country in the world. So therefore, we would probably have the best healthcare, the best. I mean, you would have the best of the best. But the problem, the biggest and most overarching problem is the only way any of this takes place is you get these billion-dollar companies to pay their fair share.
And that's
And
never going to happen
I
because they currently have the power. They're
I
never going to
disagree with
allow
you,
that to
Matthew.
change.
That's not
they
true.
don't,
They
it's
will.
never
They don't
gonna
have a
listen.
choice.
Listen,
Of course,
I
they
can't.
have a choice. They have all the power.
They have all the power because we've given
No,
our
no, they have
agency
all the
away.
power because they have all the power, Desmond. Like that's
All the money.
we didn't give them
No,
anything. So look,
no,
I'm
guys,
gonna tell you. Let me
guys,
tell you something.
guys.
Let me tell you something real quick.
Real quick, real quick. Who is buying their products?
Who's buying whose products?
These billionaires, the
It depends.
corporations.
There's lots of different corporations that are involved, and some of them aren't selling to the public. Some of them are like, you
Sure,
know,
but the majority of them are they not?
I don't know. It depends on what you mean by it. Like, go ahead, make your point. And let's see if I agree
My
with it.
point,
Because I,
simply put, is that yes, the billionaires have all the power. Mark Zuckerberg might have bought up all of one of those islands in Hawaii, but his power, his money, his influence comes from Facebook, which is a tool that is fueled by us being on it and us putting our energy in it. If we boycott like we were taught by our revolutionaries who they murdered, we would see that our power is in stopping these corporations from getting away with just allowing the people's will to be mistreated because
But
they
you
don't
don't have
respect it.
that. You don't have that ability anymore, because
You don't
okay,
think we can
let's use
boycott again?
Facebook. Facebook is a perfect example, right? Let's stand up against the machine that is Facebook. You can't log into 90% of the apps in the world without a Facebook. I can't even log in. We don't have this conversation about the revolution without the place where we are having the revolution. You are paying him to tell him how much you don't want to use his product. Like you ease of access, bro, and quality of life. The reason why we can't do anything about
yeah,
billionaire
that second
situations
part.
is quality of life. I can't afford to make a hamburger every day. You know who can? McDonald's. You know who's killing me every day? McDonald's. You know who's making $1 billion every time I give them $1? McDonald's.
He's
You
got a
know what I'm
point.
not gonna do though? I'm not gonna stop going to McDonald's. Like it doesn't. We're past that point. We are past that point.
I
We're
would
gonna.
like to proudly point out that I haven't been to McDonald's since 2009.
I'm proud of you, but listen, them French fries getting bought. So I might not eat any other product in that building because I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if these potatoes are potatoes, but they taste really good. So I'll
Yo,
just have
real
to try.
quick, I saw this video on Jessica's Instagram. She was on her
Revenue.
whatever you call that stuff. I'm so old now. the thing that you show in the video is like in their profile picture is like little anyway. She had this video of like this dude basically wringing out a slice of bread like a sponge. She was like, "This is not bread anymore. Like this is like a whole chemical sponge." Like he was like literally like it literally looked like a sponge. Maybe it was a bit of trickery. Maybe it wasn't actually bread, but if it was, that's terrifying. Um, but yeah, let me just to get back on topic. I do want to point out a couple of things because I've been kind of biting my tongue while you guys hashed it out. But when you're talking about this middle ground where you think rational thought can happen, and you're saying that I'm being pessimistic or that we're being pessimistic about the number of people in the world who or in the U.S. who are actually thinking about these things, I want to push back there because I think at this point it's pretty clear that like the US political landscape has been deliberately engineered to eliminate moderation and polarize people into two extreme camps, right?
That's what I'm trying to stop.
I know it's stopping it is you're about 200 years too late. It's been going on, and at this point, with the advent of social media in the last couple of decades, it's unstoppable now. At this point, as far as just changing the way people think, but not because the population is like naturally extreme, but because the two-party system thrives on division. That's what I was talking about when we were discussing it last time. If they see you unifying, they'll take something they know will be divisive and push it to the forefront.
True. I'll give you that. That's a great point.
America's
Hey,
winner take all like electoral system ensures that only two major parties can survive. Like this is what we talked about this like a few months ago. I think it was actually about a year ago now. We were talking about the example from Mexico. Remember, I was asking you if you were familiar with how Mexico, how their election or their political system got set up. It used to be a one-party system. There was one party that ran for president. That party won every single time because there was nobody else running against them. Right. And so eventually they got it or basically they did eventually add in a second party. But it just highlights how small of a choice you actually have. Even here in America, all America did was give you one other choice. And just think about it. If you have all the power, just you're in your master control room. You're the man that people are fighting against. Right. And you're setting this up. You're setting yourself up for success, long-term success, unquestionable success. Are you really going to give people free choice, or are you going to give them the illusion of choice? Like if you give people free choice, that's something you're thinking that person is just benevolent or altruistic and just wants the world to be a nice place. They don't care about that. They care about themselves having power. And so asking for them to give up that power is like asking a dog to give up a bone. They're not going to.
but I will say, with our current, like in this, I feel like Doctor Strange. Like, there's a million different ways that this could happen. There's only one way it's gonna actually happen if you really think about it. But we are in a position now where the independent. That was the beginning. That's when I first came in. The independent party, that party, if you want it to be successful, Desmond does have a point. It does need to be like grassroots, like Mamdani, and there's some guy I forgot his name. I just heard about him.
Butch
He
Ware,
too,
maybe?
huh?
Butch Ware in California.
Maybe there's a third because this guy's name was like Fett something. He was
Um,
I don't even know where he's from. All I know is he's a third party. He's coming through the same way Mamdani is, and I think that what's gonna have to take place is one, we're gonna need a big, like, we have a king now. He's gonna have to fall, right? But he's setting
Facts.
himself up to fall because he's an idiot. So when this whole Epstein thing, you know what I'm saying, as soon as that hits the fan the wrong way, and
I
that side crumbles, because it's gonna hit the fan. And to be honest with you,
can't believe.
what would be in a perfect world for a situation that you're talking about? What needs to happen is both parties need to be in these files.
I mean, they
Because
Exactly.
are,
I
but
think
it's
they
not going to
are. That's
matter.
why it's
It's
not coming
it's
out.
well,
not going to
whoa, whoa,
matter.
whoa.
Because both
Um,
It,
parties are in the
but
file.
but that's fine.
That's
I
guaranteed.
not
know
even
both parties
the
are. But what
guaranteed.
I'm
Right,
saying is
right.
the
That's the only
independent
thing me and
side.
Matt can agree on today.
Once you have that, because it's gonna give everybody a I don't want to say post nut clarity, but you know what I mean. It's gonna give everybody that.
Yo, AK,
Hor-
I gotta keep it 1,000 with you,
horrible.
bro. And I've held my tongue saying this, but there is no way that the Epstein that it's not getting out. It's too many powerful people that would be complicit. They are going to
Yes,
bury
but you
this
okay?
to
No,
the
no, no,
end.
no, no.
Personally, I
You have
don't
to
think it
think.
would matter. Even if it did come out, I don't think it, we're on a 24-hour news cycle. All they have to do is show some terrorist attack. No one's going to care anymore.
You telling me if Bill
Well,
Clinton, Hillary Clinton, if three past presidents, like
Yes.
six major CEOs of current companies,
Yes.
the head of
Yes.
Disney, all these
Yes.
people are listed as pedophiles, we're just going to be like, okay, we're a pedophilic nation now. Oh God, this is
no,
good.
or what's gonna happen is because this is you have to remember that, right?
Come
Because
on,
we're think about a well-oiled machine, right? Think about a
come on.
well-oiled machine. There's a lot of parts, but some of them
Yes,
parts want to
No
be
Diddy.
different parts. Some of them parts want to be different parts. Like I want to be a, you know what I mean? I'm tired of being a spark plug. I want to be a piston. You feel me? And the only way to become a piston is a bunch of pistons gotta go. So if this
All right.
if all I have to do is push the news up, yeah, I know it's gonna destroy everything around me, but I become the new top dog because everybody else has been demonized and we hate them and we call them deplorable now. You're gonna have those people, but they are not as polarizing as the people in place, and that's gonna leave an entire opening for that independent market to come in and be like, see, we told you they was on some BS. See, we
Okay,
told you they
two
were
two
lying to
two
you.
things. Two quick things on that point. Number one, people have disappeared for far less. Okay,
you took the
that's
thought
not
right out
going
of
to
my head,
happen.
bro. You took the thought
Okay,
right out of my head.
and on top of that, when we talk about this, the grassroots movements, right? I agree that it's a great principle. It's a very valid principle. It's on the surface, it's a great idea. But when you actually apply it to our situation, the U.S. political landscape, it is not enough to challenge systemic power because the system is actually structured to absorb, co-opt, or outpace all those grassroots movements. That's why you see all these things that started off as a really good idea and is revolutionary. Now it's ruined, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Uber, Uber Eats, all that stuff that started off as like,
man,
oh, this is a great idea. Now it's ruined
Matt,
because
why you
that's
gotta
Well,
how the
well, well, time
system
out. Now,
works.
Uber's a great idea and still is a great idea, and it has revolutionized travel. I don't. Is it though?
Okay. Well,
What's
for
the
the
bad part?
drivers, they hate it. They're struggling to make ends meet. The riders, they hate it because of surge price and they don't think it's fair. They just checked the pricing. It was one thing. They went to another app and came back and now it's double the price. They don't like it. It doesn't work. Like just do a little bit of research into Uber's profits and you'll understand that it actually is it's just basically like they've been living off of investor money for a long time. I actually haven't checked it in a while, so maybe that's changed since the past 5 years since I checked it last. But they were not making money because it's not built well. It's not structured to make money. If it was that simple, it would have been done a long time ago. But anyway, I'm getting off topic.
I think it
Um,
was. I feel like you know what, and as a person who actually had to, who utilized it to like survive for a year while I was
but
running
how
around
much
on
did
the
that
West
eat into
Coast.
your pockets versus just having a car?
Well, I mean, as a driver too, like yeah, okay, it does. It's supposed to because you didn't come up with the. We live in America. If you like an idea and you want an idea to be, I don't know what's the word, morally and ethically fair to to the customer, then you should have came up with it. That's how America works. Like you can't want
That's my
something.
point. That's my point. It's actually the perfect segue into my point. My solution for this is not to play the game harder because that's a trap. Like it's like if you like just imagine like I don't know, Desmond, you have older brothers, so maybe you can relate to this. AK, I think you just have the older sister, but sisters are worse actually. So you might relate to this even more, right? Your sister has a game that she likes to play. You don't like playing it because she always wins. Because let's say it's Monopoly, she always cheats. She steals money. You don't see her doing it, and at the end of the game, you see she's got a pile of money, right? Every time you keep coming and playing the game with her, knowing how it's going to end, who's actually benefiting from that? And then all she has to do is play on your ego and says, "Oh yeah, go ahead, give up. I knew you couldn't beat me." And then you're like, "I can beat you." But the whole time you're playing a cheater. Like, you're not actually playing a fair game. No, you cannot win. And it's not cowardice to acknowledge that and stop playing with that person. It's just pragmatism. It's just being realistic. It's facing the truth. Face the music.
But
What a
what's stopping you?
sad analogy.
But what's stopping you? Because okay, cool, you got me like that when I was 7. You got me like that when I thought young.
Come on,
I
AK.
thought the game was fair. I knew that the
Great.
game. I didn't know the game was rigged. I got 10.
Exactly.
I started to feel.
So
like,
now that you know it's rigged, you think you can do what?
Wait
You
a
can
minute.
play
Wait a minute.
the
Listen.
game better.
What happens is you turn 10.
No.
You turn 10. You realize the game is rigged, right? And then you turn 13, 14, 15, and you realize, yo, I just got to become the banker. I see the cheat now. I see what's happening. You control the money. You control the game. I need to become the banker. So now,
except they won't let you become the banker.
You don't got to do nothing.
And that's what I disagree with you on, man.
Listen, this is America. Now, that's one thing I'm not going to take away. Any of us can become the banker.
Come on.
No, you cannot.
The
Name one person who has become the banker who was not part of the cheating system.
Bro,
of course you're part of, okay, I can give you
name one. Just name one.
I met the people that do the East Lake Foundation on the east side. The man sold an apartment complex and said, hey, I'm going to sell this to you, but you have to make sure that it's affordable housing for the people in the community. Then he bought an apartment complex and made sure that half of it was affordable housing. And then he has a foundation where he teaches the kids, hey, we do financial.
This isn't a good example. This is great. This is, heartwarming, touchy stuff, but that's not breaking the system. That's within the system. The system already has a place. They like to keep broke people together. They like to have affordable housing in certain areas. That's a part of how the system works. Okay, yeah, so when I say give me somebody who actually became the banker,
it's mixed housing. It
doesn't matter if it's mixed housing or not. That's a part of the system, is what I'm saying. It's a part of how things work. It always has been.
No one has ever beat the system by not joining the system. You have to.
Nobody. That's my point. So you sitting here saying anybody can become the banker? Yeah, if you sell out, if you give up on what you're actually trying to accomplish, sure, you can become the banker. But that's my point.
Well, we're not.
You cannot beat them at their game because they set it up against you. They're holding all the chips, all the pieces.
You can put your thumb on the scale, and if enough people put,
you can't even see the scale. They don't let you in the same room as the scale. They make you think you're putting your thumb on the scale the whole time. The real scale is in the other room. That's the kind of game you're trying to win, one where you don't even know what's going on fully. Of course, we can see what we can see, but there's more that you can't see. And you have to come to that realization that this is not smart. This is not smart of me. It's like Charlie trying to kick that football, knowing full well Lucy's gonna pull it away.
Matthew, I just gotta say you're 1,000% right until you meet a brilliant mind, a revolutionary mind that can actually break the system.
The revolutionary minds keep telling you to leave.
Yes.
And you don't listen.
And so I'm not saying that's not a bad idea. I've told you and will continue to tell you, just not on this platform, there's a hybrid approach that gets that accomplished while also acknowledging that we can try to fix this system.
You fix the system by leaving. And I haven't fully fleshed out how that works.
Some of us can leave, but we all can't leave. And because we all can't,
we all could leave. We all won't leave, but we all could. We all have the ability to leave. But some people will refuse to because of their own mindset.
The whole world can't leave. We can't all 200 or 300 million.
We're not talking about the whole world, bro. We're talking about our people.
I'm talking about America. I keep saying the world because I'm American. I'm sorry. Okay, my world is America.
I don't think Matthew. If I'm not mistaken, we're not even talking about all of America, are we?
Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be all of anybody. It's just the people. If enough people do it, it fixes the problem. But for the people who do it, no matter how many people do it, their problems are solved. Their personal problems are solved. But what Desmond's talking about, his hybrid approach, the hybrid approach is my approach. If enough people do it, it breaks down their entire system because their power depends on you being here to subjugate.
My God.
Have you ever heard from what's the movie? Incredibles, right? Syndrome's whole thing. He says, once I've had my fun, I'll sell my inventions and then everyone will become super. And when everyone's super, nobody will be. So if everyone who's not super is gone, who are they going to subjugate? Each other?
Yes.
Are they just going to have this utopia?
No, they're gonna listen. You, there's a bottom rung, no matter what happens. So
But
Hey,
the
can I be
difference
honest,
is
bro? I think
the
that's how
difference
hilarious
between them
you are
will be so much smaller. When you have people who are struggling to make 30,000 a year, and then you have people who spend 30,000 in a day or in an afternoon, that's a huge disparity. But when all of those people from 30,000 a year all the way up to even 200K a year, once they all dip out, let's even say 500K, because that's still like he's got a lot to go before you even reach the top 1% of earners. Not maybe not 1%. Let's not, bring that down. I would say 0.01%. But the difference between that 0.01% and the rest of us makes it look like it's almost like 90-10. But anyway, the point is, when you run out of people to fund these machines, oh, perfect example. Perfect example. This is okay. So have you guys heard of degrowth? You're familiar with this concept, right?
no,
No? Okay, doesn't matter.
I don't know that
You
either.
know what GDP is. I know that.
we know that one.
That's why you don't know what degrowth is, because GDP and degrowth are opposites. GDP is just like maximizing profits, maximizing profits. I forget the name of the company. One of these companies actually just filed for bankruptcy. Um,
No wonder it's gross, domestic, just nasty. Just money over hands, just smearing it everywhere.
hear this out. One of these companies that makes it's not Cuisinart, I don't think, but it's one of those like Cuisinart that makes those kitchen appliances. They made their products so well that people didn't have to buy new ones every 5 years. And so now they're not making enough money to sustain their business because everyone who bought their products just bought them and kept them for 20 years or passed them on to their kids. And now there's no more need for people to keep going out and buying and buying and buying and buying and buying. Okay, so a company that did the right thing made a valuable, high quality product and sold it to people is now out in the streets because nobody needs to buy their product anymore because they made it right the first time. Right? This is the result of GDP. When all you care about is profits and pushing profits up as much as possible, these companies will either have to sell you crappy stuff that needs to be replaced, not sell you this is Desmond, like I said, everything is intertwined, not sell you the actual thing, but instead sell you a license on a subscription fee, like you keep paying me this much and you continue to get to use this thing until I decide to take it away, or and you stop paying. Or they're going to be out in the cold because they can't sustain a business that doesn't continuously make money. So either they don't have the creativity to branch out beyond what they currently know and find other ways to make money, which is what some companies do. But this is not like like I said, it's a well-known, I forget which one it is. I have to look it up. But one of these companies just went under, and it's an interesting story on how our economy works to actually look at what happened to them. But anyway, when you have degrowth, when you have a focus on livability, on people's general welfare, when that's your focus, then you create this counter, or kind of like I said, the opposite of GDP, where it's not about profits for profit's sake. It's about getting to a place where everyone is on a livable scale, right? Scaling down production, scaling down consumption, and creating something more sustainable, environmentally friendly, all that good stuff, right? So the core idea the core idea of modern economies basically assumes that more growth equals better life. But tangent, I'll not go down it right now. But there's actually data sets that you can look at that show that that's actually not true. Where you have more growth, people are less happy. But anyway, degrowth challenges this.
I feel like
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like, not to cut you off, but I feel like if that's what a company, if your goal was to be a sustainable, you're focused on sustainability, and I'm creating items that you're not gonna have to replace. then that
Not just
company.
for one company. I'm talking about the
No,
entire economy, a degrowth economy.
what I'm saying is, if you wanted that to happen, the key thing that's going to need to take place is that companies would have to form with end of life dates already set in mind. I am here to make when I hit, let's say it's $1 trillion in gross over the course of our company's life. When we hit that $1 trillion mark, we are done. We're not making any more products. We're shutting down everything. All the businesses are everything. We're done. We
Well, it's
set
not
out,
quite that simple
but you
because there's
it would
other
be.
ways that,
There's no way because it's not sustainable. You're growing to be mass, right? Because you went from one factory in one little store to 50 to 100 to 200, but you knew that you were making products that weren't going to require 200 factories anymore. But
well,
you,
again, like I said, it's not quite that simple because you're kind of assuming a lot to take these steps in and kind of branch it out. Bring it back to its core idea to just understand it in principle, and then you can flesh out how a company would do this. But before we even go down that road, I'm not even arguing for degrowth. I'm just explaining what it is. All right. So when you have the modern economy mindset of more growth equals better life, degrowth, on the other hand, is basically acknowledging that infinite growth on a finite planet is impossible. So you're going to run off a cliff eventually. Constant economic growth drives climate change, resource depletion, and most importantly to our conversation, inequality, right? It creates a haves and a have-nots. A better society focuses on quality of life. That's your number one focus, is everyone having a quality life, not just material wealth. So some of their principles would include like reducing consumption and waste, right? Especially in the wealthier nations like America, where you don't even want to know how much food goes in the trash in America while other countries are struggling. Especially, we're not going to talk about it right now, Desmond, but they share resources more fairly, which reduces extreme inequalities between like the different countries and the different classes. And they focus on well-being. They promote your health, education, community, and leisure over materialism. It's not about having the newest and best and fastest iPhone. It's about having a liver that's going to survive until you're 70 years old or whatever. It's about having a universal education where some people aren't, some people think bats are birds, and other people, are calculating whatever math that you need to calculate in order to get us to the moon or Mars, right? Having a community where people actually have like a community. I don't even think people understand these days what a community actually is, right? It's kind of morphed into its own word where people just kind of intuit what it means through context. But understanding where it actually started, what a community is, it's kind of like an economy, right? It's like where you're sharing resources with other people. You're forming a relationship where you benefit off of each other, and not just for people having somebody to talk to, or not just having like safety in numbers. It's actually an interwoven system where everything, your day-to-day life, everything you do helps somebody else, and your life is possible because other people are helping you, right? One person that loves baking, so they bake all the baked goods or whatever. This is like a very rudimentary metaphor, but you kind of get the picture, right? One person is baking all the bread. One person has a large river behind their house, and so they do most of the washing or whatever water stuff. And so it creates this system where everyone is helping other people. They're taking care of themselves and other people.
But the problem is, it doesn't matter the community. It doesn't matter how you break it down. It doesn't matter how together something is. It doesn't matter how fair the education system is, because there's going to be some that do it and some that don't. I could go to the same class as you, and I just can't do the math.
Well,
So
again, just to clarify, I'm not arguing for degrowth. I'm just
no,
explaining what it is.
I know. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't. First of all, we don't live in that kind of country. Like it just doesn't.
I
Work.
know.
Even
That's my point. That's my point. I'm highlighting what the U.S. is versus what it not necessarily what it should be, but just giving you the other extreme so you can see how much room there is in between to work with. Right? But I'm not saying that the US is ever going to change or turn into this. I'm showing you why the US will not work. Why the US needs you here to subjugate for as long as possible in order for it to function. Because if you're not here to use Uber, to go to McDonald's, to do these other things, who are they going to sell these things to? Like we just talked about with that company that just fell off the face of the earth because they made their products too good. They just made their products too good. It wasn't like there was no one there to buy them. There's just no one who needed them anymore because they bought their stuff already and it works. So in a situation where there's literally nobody to buy the product in the first place, what happens to a company like the US? Because yes, the US is a company. It functions as a company. It's run by companies. What happens when these companies have no one to sell their products to?
But that's the thing. There's always going to be that company that fell off the map. Their they filled their demographics needs. That was the problem. You filled your demographics needs. You didn't put one in it. I don't got one. So obviously you haven't done a good enough job of telling people that they need your product.
You're not in their demographic, right? But that's not really the point. The point is, it's a very basic principle. If you can't make money, your company goes under.
That is the basic point, though.
Right? So if the U.S. as a company can't make money, what happens? It goes under.
Yeah, but
that's where Desmond's what do you call it? His two-pronged approach, where he's talking about acknowledging the benefits of getting out of this system, but at the same time wanting to help the people who are still here. That's how you help them, by getting out, by helping the company to go under.
You're never going to be able to help the company go under because they will find there's always.
They can't force people to come into the company. Force people to come into the country.
But I don't have to force people to come into the country. First and foremost, before you even, because I know we're living in right now, we're going into a wild hypothetical. But I'm going to tell you right now, if there was any form of mass exodus in America, I guarantee you, the first thing that happens is you can't leave. Hey, sorry guys, we're closing our borders.
You don't have to tell me that. I already know that they don't. That's my point. The fact that you know that means you realize the effectiveness of this strategy. If you could if you could have that mass exodus, the company would go under. That's why they wouldn't let you leave.
Right. Also, if the flip side of that is the answer, the problem to all of this is, even if you did, let's say we figured out a way and hey, we're just gonna go. You want to know what happens right after that? Mass incarceration. I'm just gonna lock everybody up, and guess what y'all gonna eat? You're gonna eat McDonald's because now we've got McDonald's servicing all our prisons. Now we're gonna make sure we got Cuisine Art making us blenders because somebody got to make this water bread. So everyone, this machine is never gonna stop. We'll just find a new. What do you mean? It's still gonna work. You just don't want to see the backside. That's why I don't want to go that way. I don't want to go the way
you're actually pointing out the necessity of it. What you're doing is you're highlighting just how effective it would be.
Oh. But you could just fix it from within.
You can't. They've been telling you that for 200 years. When are you gonna wake up?
Well, let me see what my man does in New York, because he might fix it from within.
Oh my goodness!
And moreover,
this is the trap. So this is the trap.
Desmond, how do you feel about that? Do you think that you don't think that there's a way?
That's his position. He thinks we should fix it from within.
I'm a little bit between because Momont, like the new guy in New York, is a great example of what I'm trying to say for multiple reasons. Not only did he win within the Democratic Party under a democratic socialist tag, what's happening is they're trying to brand him as a communist. The Democratic Party is doing everything in their power to not let him win because he's not establishment. He still is establishment, actually. AK, unfortunately, we can't hero rush up because Mondami is probably going to he's likely to do an Obama on us, where he's talking a good talk. He's talking about freezing the rent. He's saying all this stuff. and I got a feeling he's gonna do what AOC did from New York and what Obama did, where like when he gets in, let's see if he actually does that stuff.
Okay,
But
wait. Let's not hop on the Obama didn't do nothing when he had to fight an entire other system. Like let's
It's not
not be
about what he
so it's not
didn't
that. It's
do.
not
It's
that. So
about
there's
what
this
he
thing,
did do.
exactly what he did. So listen. There's this thing. Obama said this out of his mouth not a few days ago, but soon after this. I'm not even going to give you the back and forth of the story. Essentially, Obama was just commenting on kind of like he did not realize how many war hawks there were in government behind, like how war hungry the deep state was. So Obama did come in with a good intention, but the reality was he got up. Unfortunately, I agree with Matthew. He got absorbed by the war hawks. And he became a drone striking. He was locking up more people than Trump in terms of the
Pause. Real quick. Why is the deep state so war hungry?
because of the military industrial complex and the corporations that
Yes.
benefit from it.
Yes. Exactly. Thank you. Please continue. I just want to make sure we make that clear.
So what I was going to say about Mandami though is we can't hero worship, but I'm hoping he does right. I don't think he will. But what you should also see, Matthew, is that what's happening and what New York is showing the world and showing America is the mayor of the current mayor of New York, Eric Adams, was a Democrat. He lost, and so he's having to run as an independent. Bill de Blasio, not Bill de Blasio, the other Andrew Cuomo or
Yeah.
whatever the Cuomo is, that was governor, is also running for mayor. He was running as a Democrat in the primary, but lost to Mandami. He also is running as an independent because the Democrat, quite frankly, the Democrats are scared shitless about this socialist Democrat. So much so that they're bringing up.
I don't think that's the reason why everybody's going Democrat right now. I think they're running Democrat. It's better to be independent than to be seen as a part of a party that is literally in the minds of half of the country, if not more. I just saw a poll that said like 66% of the country, which I know they do polls on like 1,000 people and then just kind of multiply. But
Good man, very good.
I know how polls work, but they did say 66% of the people polled were like, what is a Democrat? Like, why would you? They're weak. I don't want to be a member of that party
Right.
anymore. So the independent party is the best party to go.
So AK,
What would be the smartest thing for them to do is to absorb the Democratic Party and let it become a democratic socialist platform where people start to realize like, hey, maybe it's not a bad idea if rent is affordable. Maybe it's not a bad idea if I have health care that I don't have to pay for out of my taxes at the end of the year because you forced me to. What if you just gave me something? You know what I'm saying? And then let that trickle throughout the country. Because like you said, all it takes is for that to work. Whether you think it's going to or not, I can't live in that world. I have to live in the world of the man said he gonna do it. I'm gonna let him do it. But also Trump has just shown us that you just do it. You don't gotta ask nobody, you just do it. So let's just hope that everybody is using the same.
If you have the cheat code, sure.
Well, the cheat code is just do it.
No, the cheat code is, well, never mind. I'm not going to get us canceled right now. I'm not going to get us canceled right now.
Yeah, it's too early for that.
Well, aside from the, let's not go too deep into that part. But right now, I am focused on what can happen, what is being shown to us, because I'm not very happy with what just took place. And that's what I was trying to tell you guys earlier.
Hold on, AK though. I wanted to make a quick distinction before we get past the New York situation. Because what I was pointing out is exactly what you said is true, where people are seeing the Democratic Party as weak. But my point is, the Cuomo and Adams were Democrats that are now running as independents because they lost to a socialist Democrat.
Yes, because
that's showing you that
you're weak. You are weak. I don't want to. When I see Democrat on a ticket now, I just assume I should not vote for them. Because
exactly, no critical thought at all. It's just a reflex because of the programming. And that's a part of my bigger point, is that we're looking at a bunch of symptoms and we're not looking at the actual source of those symptoms.
And how are we going to look at it soberly when it seems like everybody's eyes are glazed in emotion and kind of like historiography?
But it starts with people like you and me having this conversation. It starts with us having more people like AK come on and give their side of the story so we can hash it out like adults and just talk it through. Because we're living in an age where everything is designed to keep us weak.
Yeah.
The hyper-sexualization of women in media, the
Come on.
endless scroll of TikTok, and which is basically softcore pornography, and the hookup culture pushed by dating apps, all of it destroys our ability to form real, meaningful relationships. And that's step one.
Damn,
That's
we're
the
going
most
there?
fundamental. That's how they destroy you. Just look at history, man. You have
Come
to
on.
actually wake up and look at what's happening. You
Come
can't
on.
ignore it. And there's this guy. I want to show you guys this video. The guy I told you I've been sitting on, because he talks about this. It's so crazy. Anyway, I'll do that in 1 second. But you have to actually look at what's been happening, and you can't. You're too smart, both of you, to not see the pattern. You can't see the pattern and then ignore it and say, oh, well, maybe it's not really. It's a pattern. It's a pattern, and you know what's coming next. All right. Like I said, that's step one. You have liquor stores sitting on every corner in the hood, but they got to drive 3, 4, 5 miles to get to the grocery store, or at least one that has actual stuff, actually food at it. And it's not the super processed stuff that you can use as a sponge. Right. They're peddling numbness. They're selling you an escape from the very situation they put you in. Legal and illegal drugs flooding the market, promising temporary escape while they chain your mind and your bodies. Social media keeps us addicted, comparing ourselves to these illusions and drowning in shallow dopamine hits. All of these systems feed into each other like the gears and like a big machine. That's why we call it a machine. You have the corn that erodes your soul and fuels your loneliness. Your loneliness drives your drinking and your drug use. Social media amplifies your insecurities and your anger. And all of it together creates the largest mental health crisis that the world has ever seen. There was actually a documentary about this, or a mockumentary. I don't know what you really want to call it. It's like a documentary on Netflix called The Social Something. But it talks about this, right? We have skyrocketing depression, anxiety, self-harm. You have kids who don't know what gender they are before they even understand what sex is. Meanwhile, people are distracted and self-destructing. The middle class is gone. Society is splitting into two groups, predators and prey. And those who exploit the system, or you have those who exploit the system, and you have those who are consumed by it. That's it. And the truth is, you can't fight this machine with a weak or flexible moral code. You need something strict, unshakable, a framework of discipline, one that protects you from falling into the cycle in the first place. And no system of belief does this. I know you don't want to hear it, but no system of belief does this as effectively as Islam does. That's why they took out Malcolm X. If you look at what actually happened, even though I completely disagree with the theology of the Nation of Islam as what it was and what it stands to be today, I completely find that to be repulsive. But the Nation of Islam was a lot of black people's stepping stone, including my own grandfather and my grandmother. It was a stepping stone for them to actually find Islam, the true Islam. So even with what they were doing, though, even with the NOI, they were starting businesses, starting banks, pushing drug dealers and peddlers out of their communities. Then you have like people who are following the same theology, like Fred Hampton, right, doing the free breakfast, which is now instituted. Back to Desmond's point about them taking good ideas, as long as it fits within their system, was taken by the U.S. government. Now the U.S. government supplies free breakfast. One of the reasons why they do that is because it helps them keep people control. They want people to come to school, and we can have a whole episode on why they want people in public school. But on top of that, they can't have communities doing for themselves. That is a huge crack in their armor. When communities start doing for themselves, number one, it shows people that you don't need them in the first place. And number two, it opens doors for new power structures to form right under their nose.
That's real.
That's that's a part of the. I haven't really got to that part where we talk about like the safety of even this format of conversation, this format of thinking. When you're talking about how to uproot the system, even from a community level, like you said, bro, that the very first they're coming to you have to get rid of the outward thinkers. You have to like that's one of the most that's one of the main reasons why I haven't even thought about going into politics, because I know that I am a danger to the the current establishment. I don't think like how they think. I don't agree with half the shit that you know what I'm saying? I don't agree. I don't agree. I'll go play the game with you, but I'm also the type of person that'll play the game with you, smile and be like, hey, okay, I know as soon as I get to roll the dice, I'm just gonna run away with the dice. This game's over. I can't wait to get the dice. We're gonna play my game now. You know what I mean? This go from
They've been
Monopoly
doing
to
this for
Street
a
Craft.
long time, and so that's exactly why they don't let people touch the dice. They've been doing this for a long time. But yeah, like that is of the exact reason why so many of our that I'm not sure if you don't know this by now, you seriously have homework to do. But J. Edgar Hoover, or one of those, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was J. Edgar Hoover, while he was at the FBI, head of the FBI, right? That memo that got leaked, and people actually saw from his own desk this memo out to the agency saying that one of their top priorities is to prevent the rise of a black messiah. Obviously, they don't mean like Jesus. They mean a savior who's going to bring black people out of this situation, who's going to upend the current status quo and the current balance of power or imbalance of power.
Bismillah.
So that's why Malcolm X is gone. That's why Martin Luther King is gone. That's why Fred Hampton got murdered in front of his pregnant wife. That is at 21 years old. This is a kid. This is a kid. And they took him out.
Snuck him.
And they'll continue to do this because we have people who are convinced that all they have to do is play the game a little harder, and those are the people they want to survive. Those are the people they want. People, as long as you are in that box, you're good. As soon as you start coming out of it, look at what Martin Luther King was talking about leading up to his death. He started to see the light. He started to see that, you know what? Of course they're going to let me keep doing this. Being a peaceful protester. What?
This is a great time to bring it up because it just happened thanks to Trump. Not thanks to Trump, but some more in his trying to distract us from the Epstein files. They released some more of the MLK files that were sealed. And some of the so Bernice King just made this pretty funny Twitter post where basically, to share some of the information without going into the details, what he was planning before he was dying was a poverty march that was going to be less about race and about what Matthew was just talking about. Essentially, not exactly what Matthew was talking about, but essentially the idea that the middle class is gone and it's a equity or equality thing for all people, not just black people. And then he also had this idea where basically his next plan was to get us reparations, where he had a plan where we were supposed to get 20 billion a year over 20 years. This was back in the 70s to like start working on rehabilitative programs to give us land.
Well, I'm glad that didn't happen. Maybe
what?
maybe in the whoa, guys. Now listen, I'm on the when we get to the reparation side of things, I think that you can't just put the money in the hands of the people and tell them to go out and govern with the knowledge that they have now. Being that,
right, that's why land is key.
I don't want the land. I do want the land. Like, don't get me wrong, I want the land.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Listen, it's not that I don't want the land, but I don't want the land for land's sake. Don't give me a reservation, bro.
I hear that.
Give me a reservation. Give me the same thing you gave the natives. If you just want to be honest, I want the ability to be, hey, the natives are the only ones that can have casinos. Let the black people be the other people that have casinos. No white people, just black people. Black and native.
That's a great idea. I never thought of.
Give me the same thing you gave them.
That's not a bad idea for raising revenue.
This guy stinks.
No. No, absolutely not.
What do you
Absolutely not.
mean? What do you mean? Do you know how much
Facts.
money? Do you know how much money these
If you
people
want to
give you
talk
that?
about money, go and ask any millionaire, anyone who has $1 million or more. Ask them how they got the most. What's their advice on how to make money? Ask any of them. Any of them. You know what their answer is going to be?
What's that?
Land.
Buy land.
Cool.
Buy real
I didn't.
estate.
I didn't say don't give me just the land. I want the land. Give me lots of land. You owe me land. That's cool. Give me the ability to make money in an area where not that many other people are tapped into it. I
If
need to
you
be
set up your business within this system that you're trying to escape from or that you're trying to dismantle, you are basically running in circles. You don't know which direction you want to go in.
That's
You
not
want to
true.
break the
That's
system,
not
but you
true.
also want to be the system.
That's what I know. I want to use the system to get to the next step. Whatever you do with your money when you get it, it's up to you. What I do with them, I know the means. It's just like being a dope dealer. You don't go out and say I'm gonna be a dope dealer so I can be a dope dealer for life. You say I'm gonna get this money. Yeah, it's detrimental to my community.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
let's talk
detrimental.
about that. Let's talk
It's
about that. I want to
detrimental. It's
focus I want to focus just on what you just said for 1 second.
uh,
What do you want? What is your next step? What are you trying to achieve?
from from my profit.
Sure, yeah. If you got your
Sustainability,
reparations
sustainable.
just the way you
Oh,
wanted them, what do you want? What are you actually shooting for? What's your goal?
for my reparations.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the biggest thing that I would want, you get
No, no,
give me
no,
the
not
money.
what you want. Let's say you got the reparations just as you wanted them, and you're saying it's a stepping stone to something. What is that something? What is your end goal?
Listen, you have the money for your community for you to start whatever everything that you're getting ready to tell me we should do. You
No, no,
now have
not
the
me.
intent to
You,
do it.
you. What do you
I
want?
don't know what's next after that. I don't know what businesses we make that are going to
So
be
you are
sustainable.
being a dope dealer for the sake of being a dope dealer.
No, that's
If
not
you
fair
don't
because
have a
listen,
next step, that's how
no, I
dope dealers
need to.
become career dope dealers.
Okay, here we go. How about this? Do you want to know what my next step would be, Legacy?
Hoodie.
Do you want to know what my next step would be?
What? Yeah.
Come to you and ask you what's your next step so you can help me. Since you don't got the money, I got the money. What's up? How do we get out
Hallelujah.
there?
Hallelujah. Simple.
How do we
There,
get
there
there?
you go.
So
Now you're talking the right language because the whole point of this, or the way the reason why I was highlighting community earlier is because we need a community. We need people to come together. We need to benefit each other in a closed system where we are no longer depending on someone who does not have our best interests at heart.
but is that not what I said when I said, could you give me something that everyone else isn't a part of so that we can do what we need to do for us
I think
with
so.
our
If you're saying
that's what I was
casinos,
hinting at.
then I would say no, because casinos are part of the problem. That's what I was just talking about. Playing on the
Listen,
ills of man and monetizing people's self-destruction
I'm
is not
playing
the
on
way for
listen,
us to come
that's
up.
where why not?
I thought it was self-explanatory in what I just said. You're profiting off of people's self-destruction. That's not
I am
sustainable.
I am profiting off of a machine that is already on the board. This piece is on the board.
We're
If I
trying
don't,
to
just
get
because I don't
away
have a piece
from
of
that
it, doesn't
machine. We're
mean that it's
not
not on the
trying
board.
to just take over. It's not just about a hostile takeover. It's about the machine itself being wrong.
Sure.
If you remember anything all of the things that I say, even when I said like the business that you were talking about should have had an end of life set already. Everything that
Hmm.
I do and think about is based on that concept. I'm coming in, I'm gonna go in. I need the community, yes. I need this money. It may come from the ills. Give me the ill. Let me figure it out because there's not a lot of options. And you're
There's
not
a
gonna
lot more options. That's what I want to open your eyes to right now, if I can. There's a lot more options. You're just looking at how one person played the game, and they've been playing the game at such a large scale and at such a high level for so long that people actually believe this is the only way. This is part of the brainwashing.
but
They
listen,
brainwash you into this
but
whole liberalism thing.
I'm not concerned about it being the only way. I'm concerned about it being effective for my people. That's what I
Effective for your people. You have to look at other options. Look at what actually worked. Do you know which society on earth, at least in our known history, which one had the most widespread what's the word? Widespread quality of life with the most sharing of knowledge and the most scientific and medicinal advancements in one point in time. One society did this far and above, way better than anybody else ever did or ever has done again. Do you know who that was?
Who?
It was the Islamic Golden Age, the golden age of the Islamic Empire. Fact check me.
And I'm not upset at that fact. I'm perfectly fine.
Look at what they did to achieve it, though. They didn't throw up casinos.
Now? What happened to you? What took place? You had the greatest of the
colonialism happened.
Okay, so now
listen. No, hang on a second. Hang on, because this is always the pushback everybody wants to bring up. Instead of looking at how they got success, they always ask, well, where are they now? If you want to be like the people who've been having their foot on your neck for the last millennia, knock yourself out. This isn't about that, though. At least from my perspective, it's not about being them. I don't want to be them. I don't need to be them. What I want is for me, my people, my loved ones to have success. And in order for that to happen, I'm not going to look at the people who have been abusing other people. I'm going to look at the people who didn't need to, and they had a better quality of life than these people. And the people who had the best quality of life didn't have their foot on other people's necks. Their downfall was that they took white people, the Europeans, and freely gave them this information, taught them how to bathe themselves, taught them how to drink clean water instead of drinking wine and being drunk all day. And they took that information and they decided to go and take over the world and put their foot on everyone's neck and start murdering in mass.
And that's fine. I don't want
if that's your sorry, go ahead.
But that's not you're missing a whole lot of information here. All I'm saying is get me to where I can help you get to where you need to get to.
What is the information that I'm missing?
The information is get there.
Get where?
There. Get to the funding. Get to the foundation that you are looking for. It may not start the way you want it to start. That's the fact of life.
That's something that we haven't talked about just yet, but I've already put together an action plan to do that, to get to that step. But what I'm saying is, because my pushback, this started from me pushing back on building casinos. What I'm saying is profiting off of people's self-destruction is not the way to go. And you're saying, well, give me the ills. It's worked for these guys, but I'm saying, who cares what worked for them? I'm saying, if you want success, look at the people who did it the best.
Yeah, but that's fine. What I'm trying to tell you is, okay, so look, you don't like it the way it's coming. Take the money when you get it from where it's coming from, and then go do all. You don't
have to. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go with your hand out to white people in order to get your own. You don't have to do that.
For sure.
So that's what I'm saying is we have our own plan. We implement that plan that doesn't require anybody to give us a free handout. It doesn't require anybody to give us permission. It doesn't require any of that. We just start working for ourselves, building this, getting out. And that's a big part of helping the people who don't want to or feel like they are too afraid or for whatever reason want to stick around.
Example. I think if they see the example, it'll help. For sure.
Seeing the example will help for some of those people, but some of those other people are too far gone mentally. They're thinking like a colonizer. They're thinking that they want to be the colonizer. And those people are not going to just see this success, not all of them anyway. Malachi, no, this is not a debate. This is just a conversation. If you want to join, you can click that link and come on up. We'll add you in too. But anyway,
I didn't into a debate. I was just trying to.
No, you're good. You're good. This is the whole point. We want the pushback. We want people to speak up. But yeah, so you take the action plan, you implement the action plan, you break free of the system. You get out of that by following the moral code. And this is the tough part this is the tough medicine for people, especially people who have a Christian background, because Christianity kind of teaches you that you'll never be good enough. Ultimately, you need somebody else to come and save you. And it doesn't really emphasize you pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and getting it done. But if you can break free of that mindset, if you can realize that no one's coming to save you, and that you're going to have to put the work in, then Islam doesn't just give you faith, it gives you structure, right? It forbids all of those poisons that they're using to enslave us: pornography, intoxication, usury, all of this stuff. It trains you to discipline your desires rather than being enslaved by them, right? So like this, of course, this isn't something that's like cookie cutter solution for everyone. It affects people differently, but a lot of people can attest to this. Like a single month of Ramadan, Desmond can probably attest to this. 30 days of fasting, prayer, and reflection. It can clear away years of depression and spiritual fog, right? It teaches you how to take your power back, to step off of that hamster wheel of hedonism and find fulfillment in purpose instead of pleasure. Right? Other religions, this is what I'm talking about with Christianity. A lot of other religions, they either water down their teachings to avoid offending modern culture, or worse, they teach you that you can do whatever you want because forgiveness is guaranteed. And that kind of thinking removes all accountability and breeds hypocrisy. Islam demands action. Islam is a verb. It means submission to the Creator, right? It does not let you make excuses for your own downfall. We know we're not perfect. No one is perfect, but it doesn't let you off the hook with just throwing your hands up and saying, well, I'll never be good enough. No, you have to continue to try. For my Christian brothers and sisters, just bring up Ezekiel 18. Read that whole chapter. It'll take you 5 minutes and it'll completely rewire your brain on what you've been taught salvation looks like. It calls you to rise, to control your impulses and live as if every day matters, because it does. Right? We know that machine wants us distracted. It wants us addicted. It wants us numb. Islam wants you awake, disciplined, alive. So the only question you guys need to ask yourselves is, which life do you want to live? That's the big ticket question. Which life do you want? The numb life of a slave, or the discipline of a free man, or the freedom of discipline? I'll put it that way, because that's really what it amounts to. Being disciplined is what grants you your freedom. But yeah, so
That's a hot take.
it is a hot take, and I know if Rashard was here, he'd be blasting me in the comments.
Where's Rashad when you do this?
But hey, you snooze, you lose, I guess.
Thank you for speaking, Muhammad.
What'd you say?
So thank you for speaking your mind, Muhammad.
Yeah, of course,
That's
of course.
not really your mind. That sounds like there's a little bit of your heart in there too.
Of course, this is something I've been thinking about for a long time, and that's what spurred me to make the action plan. But if you guys have a minute, what time is it? Oh, it's only 7:45. We're doing great. We still got another 30 minutes we could go for. But let me show y'all this really quick. Wait, where's that other one I had? There was another one. Yeah, this is it. Perfect. Okay, we're gonna go here.
What is this?
Sorry, bear with me, everyone. I know it looks crazy.
Take your time, Slime.
Just
I didn't
gonna.
even realize that Malachi was commenting because it was coming to YouTube, not Facebook. Then I
Oh, he's on YouTube. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Because at first I was gonna be like, why am I not seeing his comments? But then I clicked over and now I can see. Because he said he thought Islam had more slaves than colonialism, and I thought that was an interesting point.
So
to,
the number of slaves isn't the issue when it comes to Islam versus colonialism, although
How not?
because it's equivocation, right?
We were talking about how virtuous and great the empire of this Islamic age was, and if they had more, we also are talking about being free. And
This is my point. This is what I'm talking about, the equivocation, because you say slave and you think Atlantic or transatlantic slavery, and that's nowhere near close to what their quote unquote slavery was. In fact, in Islam, you're not permitted to call anyone your slave, because we're all slaves of Allah. Like you literally can't even call somebody a slave in Islam. You can have servants, and that's a much better term to understand what Islam was practicing. or
But
what was validated by Islam.
if
Because of
that was the
course,
case, but couldn't couldn't we just say then, or couldn't someone say that this is a game of semantics and slavery is
it's
slavery no
only
matter?
a game of semantics if you're trying to equate the two. You're saying, oh, well, they called them slaves. These are called slaves. They must be the same. That's where the semantics comes in. No, if you look at what's actually happening, you're talking about two completely different systems. Number one, quote unquote, slavery in Islam was not race based. They didn't care what color your skin was. Number two, you were not like locked into this for life. You were not, your children born are not necessarily inheriting your slavery. Right now, there are certain situations where slavery could be, quote unquote, passed on, like quote unquote chattel. But even again, still, that's not, it wasn't actual slavery. Like, let me give you a few examples just to kind of show you what slavery, like what would black people really have to worry about or would have to complain about if this was the slavery that they went through in America. Right. Number one, you can't hit your slave. Number two, you can't give them work that's too hard for them, or else you have to help them with it. Number three, you can't feed them less than or with worse quality food than you feed yourself. Y'all eat from the same meals at the same time. Clothes have to be the same. Same type of clothes you will wear, that's what you have to clothe your slave with. If they want to be free, you have to give them a path to freedom. Y'all have to work out a deal where he's going to work for X amount of years to pay off whatever debt it is, and then he's free to go. Right? This is not slavery like what black people went through at all. It's not even close.
It's not, but easily that negotiation, like there's a lot of space for it to
There's
be
not, though, because of the entire community is what I'm saying. It's not just a one-on-one, like we're not telling nobody about this, but you're going to work for 100 years and you can go free. No, it doesn't work like that. No, because they could publicly do this. They can go in front of other people and just say, I demand my slavery, or whatever, you know, and there's a system in place that would make sure that person gets their slavery. Even like this is the point. This is why slavery actually persisted for longer in these countries than it did when slavery started getting abolished in the West. Because when people came, when slavery got abolished, these quote unquote slaves wanted to stay with their masters and not on some brainwashing stuff. They're like, leave for what? This is like literally like my dad. This is the guy, like not just homelessness. I love this guy. Like he takes care of me. I take care of him. We have an actual relationship, right? He didn't force himself on anyone. This is just
Stockholmish a little bit.
No, it's not Stockholmish because you're free to go when you want. If you want to leave, you can go. Is that Stockholm syndrome?
That's what makes it Stockholmish.
No, it's not. Stockholm is when you are captive and you start to listen, because you just misused the term completely. Stockholm syndrome is when you are captive, you cannot leave, and you start to develop feelings for your captor. That's not the case here because you're not a captive. You can leave.
Once you fulfill your duties.
It's not about fulfilling your duties. The only way to get a slave in Islam in the first place.
Exactly what I was about to ask, man.
Listen. The only way you become a slave in the first place is through basically your tribe or whatever went to war with the Muslims, and typically this would happen and so your tribe lost the battle, right? In a war, they lost, and instead of leaving all these people without anyone to provide for them, like your dad just got, unalived in the middle of this war. Instead of just leaving you as a 9-year-old to fend for yourself, you come and basically become a servant to the winning party so that they will take care of all your needs. They'll feed you, they'll clothe you, they protect you. You get to continue to live a life. And this is in the 7th century when this, first started or whatever. But you can live a life of dignity. For a lot of people, they're living better than you and I are. Like let's not mince words here. Like they were living lavish.
No, but how do we know that it stayed that? How do we know what? Because to me, at the end of the day, it all sounds exactly the same. It's just this is pretty picture version, and then like not so pretty picture version.
I've literally heard white slaves
say the same thing.
It's not about white people telling you what their slaves said. The slaves can speak for themselves. That's how free they are. Have you ever heard of the Mamluks?
Never.
They're basically a bunch of slaves in the Islamic Empire who rose up and became kings and like almost like a nation unto themselves. And they were all slaves. No one stopped them. They were slaves, and they just said, you know what? We're going to start doing this other stuff. Look into it for yourself, because it sounds like at this point you're almost trying to poke holes. You're trying to find a way to make them the same.
I just don't. I am a person that I agree with a lot of the things you say. Okay, and I learned a lot about Islam. Like you said, like even with the Ramadan, all those things sound fantastic. All of these things sound fantastic. Like that is a straight up perfect way to fix your life. That's fine. I'm not trying to paint a bad light about Islam. I'm trying to say slavery is slavery, and just because it was
right, slavery is slavery, but that's why I said it's the wrong word. It's equivocation.
But that's not fair.
It's trying to use.
That's not fair. That's not.
Why is it not fair?
Because
why is it not fair?
This slave, even though the word is slave, is not this slave.
Okay, just define slavery for me, real quick. Just define what is slavery.
This is good.
Forced anything.
As soon as you said forced, you said forced, you left Islam completely. Slaves are not forced in Islam. You can't force a slave to do anything.
So if he is required to fulfill a certain amount of years before his freedom,
come on.
So
it's not freedom that we're talking about. What we're really talking about. I mean, sure, you can call it quote unquote freedom, but it's a contract that you've entered into, basically.
Unwillingly, because my dad is dead, and
not unwillingly,
super unwillingly, because my dad is dead, and I don't have another caregiver, and you're my caregiver, and now you're telling me
exactly what you want me to do. Just be homeless.
What I'm supposed to do, bro? I'm forced to do this.
Maybe how is that forced? How is that forced?
And your other option is to be homeless and starving.
And okay.
So just go be homeless and starving at 9?
If that's your choice.
That's not a choice for a 9-year-old.
Don't do that.
He's doing that.
Bro, it's one thing if you're saying that here's your two options. Either be homeless or you have to come do whatever I say. Hey, but hang on. Jeez. Like, this is the part where I say it sounds like you're trying to make the connection because it doesn't fit and you don't want to actually even hear where you're wrong. You're like, nope, it's the same. Just listen for a second. I'm listening. Okay, because the two options aren't be homeless or come do whatever I say. The options are try and figure it out for yourself, or I'm offering you a place where you can have a good life. We're not talking about you being my footstool. We're talking about this is how you get an education. This is how you have not just food on the table, but a community to live in, find a wife, have a family, everything that people basically would be doing, right? It's not the 9-year-old's fault that his dad went to war with another tribe. So why would they just, if they wanted to be mean about it, they could be mean about it. But instead, they're giving them a path to society. Like, look, your society just crumpled. There's nothing we can do about that. But you can come live in our society and be productive and have your life and do whatever it is that you want to do.
So what you're saying, this is more so like, this is more like an open enrollment to citizenship to your new group of people.
It's a lot like your path to citizenship, also coupled with what do you call it? A protection of your livelihood, a protection of your rights, and a system that the economy itself kind of already depended on. Slavery was not invented by Muslims. We already know that. It was already prevalent in the Arab community. The Arab slave trade was well into effect by the time Islam, or by the time Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came on the scene. Oh, Malachi's here. Hang on, let me add you in, buddy.
I was about to send him the link. I'm glad you said that. I was literally about to send him the link.
He's right. He's already in here. I just got to change the scene again. I wanted to show y'all this video. Y'all got me talking about something that y'all could literally just Google. But anyway,
don't do that.
I didn't ask for nothing. All I did was say they're not the same. And when I point out how they're not the same, then y'all start trying to find a way to make them the same.
Where you made a statement. And then now you have to clarify. Don't send me.
I already did, but no. Because when I explain something to you, you guys are trying to bring up other stuff, trying to force a connection where there is none. And that's why I said it's something you could just Google. Because once you've learned that you don't know enough about the thing to make the accusations, Desmond, you should have already learned this lesson. You should not be making the accusations.
I didn't make an accusation. I asked
I'm
questions.
not talking about you specifically. I'm just saying you learned this lesson already.
I wasn't forcing it. I was giving you the opportunity to
semantics, because you didn't just give me an opportunity to clarify. What you did was you made accusations.
That's the right thing, but when you say semantics becomes the thing, that's not. No, bro.
So you're saying it's impossible for you to be wrong and me to be right?
What I'm saying is,
that's what you're objecting to. You're saying, oh, when I said it's semantics, it wasn't. It wasn't. And when you said semantics, it is. It is. It's not my fault. That's the reality.
But I'm saying, but who's the judge of the semanticism here?
Come on.
It's the definition of semantics.
Which is what I was using, but you said it didn't work.
It wasn't what is the definition of semantics?
I don't know. You threw it out.
See, that I don't know right there seals it. You're done. You don't know.
Here, let's get a textbook answer, because I don't want to,
Yeah, go for it. Hang on. I'm trying to get Malachi in here. One second. Wait. Before you go, let me get Malachi in here, because I keep getting distracted and I don't even see. Oh wait, here we go. Is there like a 4x4? How do I do that?
Is that middle picture you? Like, what's this middle box?
I wanted to show y'all a video, but you've gone off on this other tangent. Here, let me just. I guess if that's your goal, is to not make progress in the conversation, instead get bogged down.
Hey, this is progress.
All progress is progress.
No, we've stalled. We've completely stalled, and Desmond's notorious for this. So the fact that you guys are on the same side, that just tells you right now you're on the wrong side.
Matthew, with all due respect, what happened today and in this moment was you made a statement that on its face value was a bit all-encompassing. So what
do you mean a bit all-encompassing? Be more clear.
When you were talking about the mechanisms of slavery in Islamic culture,
I talked about the difference, why it's equivocating to call it slavery in one context over here, where it's not actually fitting the definition of slavery at all. I already explained that. That should have been the end of that discussion. But you guys want to try and draw a parallel, even though it doesn't fit.
So you're allowed to make a statement,
even
right?
Let me finish my statement.
Who, me? Go ahead.
No, Muhammad didn't.
So because you're allowed to make a statement, right? And then once provided the pushback, that statement is just supposed to be in and of itself, an end all be all. It is right there. It doesn't matter how you feel about it.
Exactly.
It is right.
Here's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's two things happening here. Number one, you guys are making, well, not you guys, aka you are making accusations without the proper knowledge to make an accusation. You're just basically slinging mud at the wall to see what will stick, right? And the other thing that's happening as a result of that is the conversation has now been derailed from making progress, and now we're spiraling around. Hang on, let me finish. Spiraling around and around this one point that honestly, neither one of you are ever going to be fully satisfied on by my answers. You're going to have to go and do the work yourself to actually look this up and do the research. That's why I said it's the stuff that you could just simply Google. Because no matter what I say, you're going to continue to try and find another way to wrap it back in, which is what we've already seen happening every time I give you an answer.
Listen, but that's what this platform, or that's what
exactly.
No, this platform is not for hyper focusing and trying to poke holes on one thing.
It's about holes to get clarity. I think you're thinking when you said he's throwing mud at the wall. That's not seeing what sticks. That's not.
It is. When one thing gets refuted, something else gets thrown.
Hold on. That's how you're characterizing it. But I think what AK is doing and how I heard it was when you made your statement of what slavery looked like from the Islamic perspective, his slinging mud, as you call it, was him just trying to understand it more thoroughly because this is new to us. slavery in Arabic is new to us. So him slinging mud is more so we're not doing in real time. We're not going fact checking you, researching what Arabic slavery looked like. So the mud slinging was only to get more clarity. That's what he was doing, or that's how I took it.
You absolutely could just simply ask questions, but that's not what's happening.
But I
here.
am asking you questions or giving out ideas or giving you
Exactly.
No, you're making accusations. Like
And
there's
then when
like
you counter
But you know
them,
what?
don't hide from it.
When you counter them, that's the clarity.
No, this is exactly the lesson you should have already learned, Desmond. That's not how this works. You don't make accusations and then I have to defend something that you never even looked into in the first place. Because what if hang on. Because what if I don't have the answer? What if I'm not knowledgeable enough to actually give you the answer? Do you just get to throw any accusation out?
No, just say I don't have enough knowledge.
Even if I don't, who's going to counter the? You've already made the accusation at that point.
No, what I'm saying is, if you didn't, you can't. For one, if you don't have the knowledge of it, to use it as a system of debate or a system of hey, this is let me help you learn something that I don't have the knowledge of.
Wait, what?
If you said if you don't have the, like, let's say you made the statement, you don't have the knowledge, you don't got the answer. It was your idea. So
It was my idea for what?
It was your idea to make to differentiate between chattel slavery and the Islamic slavery of the 7th century, right?
Yes.
Sure. Yes.
So, great. And then
because they are different, and I've already explained how that is not up for debate.
Okay, but what's happening right now is
it is up for debate.
It's not. I already outlined it. If you're debating at this point, you're just denying facts.
No, that's not how.
Then go look it up. Why are you making accusations if you don't know?
That's not even how you pass information.
What?
That's not how you pass information, bro.
Exactly.
Like if I was so
hang on, I can't hear both of you at the same time. Just let AK talk for 1 second.
So let me get this straight. If you were a math teacher, you told me 10 plus 10 is 20, and I say, I don't know, man, that 10 plus 10 ain't looking like 20, and you tell me to go look it up.
That's not what happened. What happened is I told you 10 plus 10 is 20. I counted out 20 of them, split them into 10 to show you how 10 plus 10 is 20. And now you're trying to ask other questions or make other accusations to try and poke holes in what I already showed you.
Right, but it's not
because it's already been established. That's why I said that's not up for debate anymore. We looked at the differences. I showed you exactly how they're different. I showed you how the definition, when you defined it, does not apply to Islamic slavery.
Hold on, Nick. Take a pause, Nick. Take a pause, Nick.
When you show me something, if I say, hey, you're telling me that's 10, but that 10 don't look like a 10 to me. Just because you said it's a 10, don't make it a 10. Doesn't mean
AK, hiding behind these analogies is getting away from the point. We talked about Islamic slavery. I said it's not like transatlantic slavery for a few reasons. Number one, you're not forced. Number two, you can't even hit your slaves.
Hold on.
Number three, no. Hang on. Let me finish.
No, hold on. Because if you keep going, the point is there's contention at point 1. So why are you going to 2, 3, 4, 5? The point is
because I'm presenting an entire case. And if you want to say that, oh, you are forced, then that's a different conversation. But that's not that. Hang on. This is why I keep trying to get to a point and you guys can't let me finish. Just listen for a second. Like, I know you have pushback. Like I said, you're going to continue to have pushback. No matter what I tell you, you're going to try and find another way. That's why there's no point in doing all of this right now when this is something simple that you can look up. As a matter of fact, if I bring up ChatGPT right now to explain to you what the difference is, then you're still going to have, I'm just going to have to do my own research. That's how it's going to end. I'm going to have to look into this.
That's one thing you can't do. You can't tell me what I'm going to have. You can't tell me what's going to happen next.
Exactly.
I absolutely can because I've done this over and over and over again. Desmond, you and I have already done this before. AK, you and I have already done this before.
But listen, though. That doesn't mean that every situation, every scenario is going to be the same.
It's not every situation. It's this situation. It's this scenario. It's where you're making accusations without any knowledge, without knowing what was going on, making accusations. This does not end well. Desmond, you learned this already. At least that's what you told me. You said, you know what? You were right. I'm glad you stood on business on that because I was wrong. Now you're going right back into the same thing and basically enabling AK to make the same mistake you did.
But it's not a
Because
mistake to
you're
me
not
because I don't know
It
what the fuck that
absolutely
character
is a
was.
mistake. It will always be a mistake to make
Communication will
accusations
never
from
be
a
a
place of
mistake. That's the
ignorance.
thing.
It
You
will
can't look at
always be a
you
mistake
see if
to
you
make
look if
accusations
you
it's
from
see
a
not an
place of
that your
ignorance.
it's not an
responses.
accusation. It's more
It
so
is. Do we
You
need
need
to
to
run a tape
clarify.
back? Do we
It's
need
more.
to run a tape back?
It'd be nice.
with within the
Let's
accusation.
pull
It's
it up.
point.
We're going to run the tape back because we don't believe it with any accusations were made.
I don't think it was an accusation. I
I
think
didn't think it was accusation either.
it was a point that
What
pushed for
would make it
clarity.
an accusation? What is an accusation? Saying someone did
You
something
can't
is
keep
an
hitting us with the.
accusation.
You can't
There's
keep
no
hitting us
space for
with the what
accusation
the
when we are
textbook
ignorant.
definition of something is.
That's
When
my
you say it,
point. You have no base for accusation when you're ignorant. So saying, "Oh, it was this way. Oh, this is what
right?
happened.
Okay,
Oh,
so
you did
let's
this.
start
Oh,
with
they did that." That
Let's
doesn't
start with
work.
let's start with you. You gotta find another word besides ignorant. That is a
That's
pause.
what the word is. Ignorant means you
Any
don't
other
have
word.
knowledge of
So
something.
you might need to find a thesaurus and figure out a softer one than that one.
If you have a problem with the word ignorant, that's
Hold on.
something to work out on your own terms. Because
No,
that
because
is what the reality
because
is.
all of because
If I
what happens
start telling you
what happens
stuff about your life that I
all of
have
a
no
sudden
knowledge of, I'm speaking from
all
a
of a
place of
sudden
ignorance. Am I
all of
not?
a sudden all of a sudden the person is speaking from a place of ignorance when everything was here was intelligible, very reasonable request of you based on things that you said. I responded based on statements that you made, that you are here on this platform to defend because you are making those statements. It's not Google's job, it's your job. You made the statement. So if
Come
you
on.
believe that something is one way, then you have to clarify that because you made the statement. Don't make it
AK.
somebody else's job.
AK.
And then when I ask you, you say, "Oh, well, you know what? Though now it's semantics and it's this and it's that." You
AK.
don't just get to say words and be right.
AK. Nicholas.
I'm listening.
Do you know what Islamic slavery looked like?
You told it to us
No, I asked, do you know?
in terms of prior to this conversation.
Could you tell me if someone came and asked you, can you tell me about Islamic slavery? Could you answer that?
I would say I know what I was told, but I don't feel comfortable giving you a 100%. This is how.
Why don't you feel comfortable?
Because I only have one person. I have one point of view. I have one person's testimony about what he did.
Because you don't know.
Correct.
If you don't know, you are ignorant
Right.
on this subject.
But I am responding to you based on statements that I'm
Based
not
on ignorance, because you are making accusations. You're not just going based off of what I said. Because if you were just going based off of what I said and making a logical critique of that, that would be one thing.
But that's what was happening.
That's not what was happening. You're going beyond what I said, bringing up other things, trying to find a way to poke holes.
No, I tried to make sure that it wasn't what you said it was. I wanted to make sure, like, you know what I'm saying?
What you're. I think you.
Desmond, I can't hear both of you.
What?
I'm talking to Desmond. He keeps over talking you, and I can't hear what you're saying.
Can we all just take one pause for a second? AK, Matt. I'm pretty sure Malachi is also on. I just want to make sure.
Oh yeah, I kept trying to bring him on, and we keep getting distracted. One second. Let me just take this off. Oh wait, there we go. Here we go. Cancel that.
He said this is a good show, and I like watching it because y'all are well spoken and listen to other arguments. So let's make sure we listen.
I would love to listen. That's why you got to stop over talking him.
I don't think you're listening to him.
Let's get him brought in. I don't want to slow that process down. I feel like that's what's happening. So let's take a water break. I don't know.
How do I remove the thing off of the screen? I haven't figured. That's what I don't know. Okay, I can take that off.
I also agree, Malachi. No need to be soft.
But is there a way to make the screen bigger on from the app? Like, can I make? All I see is this really big bar that says I'm in the show. But I would like to see what you guys see. Not well, but I want to like this. Hold on, let me see something.
Can you see Matthew's ugly face at all?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. In the app, it's big. Is there an actual app?
I don't know. I'm on the webpage.
Maybe I need to just get a MacBook or a computer or something.
Yeah, I'm doing it on a computer. I don't know what it looks like on a phone.
It's oof. It's not the best. I'm not gonna lie. From the web page to the phone, it's like it's just a lot.
That's
Oh,
good.
here we go. Hang on, hang on. I got it. I think I got a solution. One second, one second. Let me just delete this.
Malachi, as
Delete.
much as I know it doesn't matter to you, this is good that we troubleshoot this for the moment that it does matter in another show. But
I'm scared to click stuff.
oh, there goes his ugly mug. Perfect. Good work,
Hey,
Malachi.
Malachi.
Oh man. Hey, what's up, y'all?
What's good?
Please tell me what
Oh my
clipping
god,
you
come on.
chose.
I got
Hang
this.
on. I'm gonna duck out 1 second and try and rejoin from in there. Let me see.
We might need
Wait.
to change the topic to beard moisturizers. That beard's looking good, Malachi. What do you do? I'm serious.
His secret is black soap.
Did you say beard moisturizer?
Yeah, this is fluffy and jerky.
I thought, man, I'm on the app, man. I don't get to see everything in 3D, man.
Okay, there we go.
And
At
just
least you here, man.
hey, AK, we never met before, but just letting you know, man, don't take anything I say personal. I be talking shit. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
man, listen, brother.
Don't
I'm
get
probably-
mad and beat me up, bro.
I don't take, and I really don't take things personal, bro. Like it's just now. Man, I apologize. I know that you were calling me ignorant. Like it's a trigger word for me. It's an instantaneous response. I apologize.
It's all good, brother. All good.
I know I didn't mean to lash out at you about that, bro. It wasn't. I know how you intended it. It was just, ooh,
Hey, bro.
It hit you so quick.
You gotta apologize to him, bro. You ain't gotta apologize to him.
These are facts.
You know what I mean?
You gotta apologize.
You
You
gotta think about it, man. Other people can see it too.
As long as
I don't want to be the angry black man on the podcast.
as
Like-
long as the Christian God will forgive you. That's why we Christian. Baby. All sin.
Oh my goodness.
As soon as you repent and apologize, bro. Look, watch this. I'm gonna show you how Christianity.
We're canceled. We're canceled. I know it. This is it. This is it. This is the big one. I'll let Malachi on the show. It's over now.
Oh my god. Yeah.
All right.
You're gonna
So Malachi is on real quick before this spirals any further. I'm just going to reiterate my initial point was that calling Islamic quote unquote slavery is actually a misnomer, and that a lot of people assume when they hear that word slavery, they think of transatlantic slavery, when Islamic slavery could not have been further from, like, if you're talking about different types of servitude, these are on two opposite ends of the spectrum. And I've talked about this with people at length before. Well, we're all serving something in someone. So if you want to open up that box of worms, feel free. But if you're here to learn and understand the differences, then listen and try not to interject. Because it's honestly like trying to compare like
apples to Granny Smith apples.
I was gonna say the unaliving of millions in or by the man from Germany to, you know, I don't know, a mild disagreement between two tribes or something like that. Like, sure, you can try and draw the parallels that exist, but by doing that, you're completely undermining. And this is a problem that, like, incidentally, is something that we see a lot, or that I've personally noticed a lot when it comes to, specifically Gemini is the worst at this, but other LLMs are not free of this problem either. They all kind of do this to a degree, but this is one of the weaknesses of using an AI to try and get information on subjects like these, is they try and flatten things out too much. They over flatten. They're trying to stay in the middle to the point where they will try and equate things that are not equal because they don't want to pick a side. And that's what's happening here when you try and connect them and say, oh, well, you know, it's all slavery. Like, no, you're very much so over flattening and ignoring the huge differences that make it not the same, right? If one group, if saying that you are a slave, you were born a slave, your children will be born slaves, and you can never leave, is not the same as saying, hey, look, if you want freedom, no problem. I know I can't just throw you out of my house because that would be irresponsible. So let's work out a system where I'll pay you for your services until you have enough to go on your own. Right? It's not the same thing. And trying to make them the same thing tells me that you don't understand what's going on, which is why you should look this stuff up. You're not going to take my word for it anyway because you think I'm just defending it. So just go ahead and do the research. That's my position on it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so to my understanding, you're saying that the transatlantic slavery that Europeans participated in,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're talking about when we say slavery. Where
if you just mean in general, I would say even beyond transatlantic slavery, anytime like AK was saying, like when you are forcing another person, when you own another person, I would say you could lump that all into slavery. Even like some milder versions of slavery besides just transatlantic slavery.
What you're saying is the Islamic version of slavery is not the same slavery that we're thinking of that it is. Are you saying that this slavery is more like a servitude or more like a servant, not really like a slave? Because you would pay your servant. I mean, some slaves got paid too, but it was more like a class system. Am I understanding this correctly?
Not even a class system. It's more like you had this existing part of society, right? Like we were talking about before. Slavery's been around. It was already there, except it was wild. You know how slavery gets wild. Like you see how it was portrayed in like with the colonialists, or how it was implemented. So what Islam does was it addressed this and it put restrictions on people in how they could interact with their slaves, with the underlying motivation being pushing people towards freeing their slaves.
And now that we're talking about slavery, right? I want to make sure we're on the same, I guess, framework. When I think slavery, I'm thinking slavery worldwide.
Okay.
I mean, slavery in the Americas, slavery in Europa, slavery in Asia, or are we just focusing on slavery that dealt with Africans?
Me personally, I'm saying it would have to be worldwide because that's what we're discussing when it comes to Islamic slavery. Islamic slavery was not race-based. Sure, Africans were also slaves, but they weren't the only slaves, right? They didn't enslave you because you're African. They enslaved you for either you were already a slave and they bought you, or your tribe went to war with them and lost.
From my research, it may be similar to what you read, but actually, I'm sorry. I think I interrupted you. I'm gonna save that, and I'll let you point.
I was just going to say, like, because if you just focus on, if you're talking about transatlantic slavery, then yes, that was absolutely race-based. And the reason why that's the one that I'm using to explain this is because it's the one that we're the most familiar with. It's the one that we're probably all the most triggered by. It's the one that we have that leaves a bad taste in our mouth. The one that makes us say that slavery isn't just wrong, it's evil. Like it's this horrible, horrible thing, right? Because the way that they did it was horrible. But I don't think in the proper context, what is or what was slavery is what slavery had become by today. Like what we understand to be slavery, I don't think is what they would apply to what they were doing in a lot of other places, not just Islam.
So what are we doing here? Are we staying on topic in this, or
not at all? Not at all. This conversation wasn't meant to be about slavery, but since everybody wants to talk about it, we can talk about it.
Down the rabbit hole, she would just stick to this because we could.
I'll let them decide because they were the ones who were pushing back. They didn't like my explanation. They wanted to continue to push back. So if they want to let it go, we can move on and come back and have a whole episode just about slavery, or we can just hash it out here as things go.
All right. Sure. Well, I'll just start talking, and yeah, guys, jump in wherever you want to jump in at. But I would like to start with your point, though. So I'm sorry I keep interrupting you. I would like to respond to what you were saying first, and if the conversation takes us down that hole, let's do it.
Okay. What point was that?
I think you made a point separating. You said that slavery was different. You said,
Yeah, so in a nutshell, the major differences between the two transatlantic slavery and Islamic slavery is number one, you don't own your slave in Islam, that they're not your property. They're more like a war, like you don't own an orphan. You are responsible for the orphan. Um, the other thing is it's not race based,
you said
right?
that was Islam slavery.
Yeah, Islamic slavery, you're not
Trans-
owned.
Transatlantic slavery, because to my understanding, slavery was a business, and you wouldn't get a slave to beat them and rape them. That happens from time to time, but that was a small minority. Most of the people who got slaves were expensive. They were used as assets. Like, you needed your slave, you loved your slaves. They're helping you. You're rich because of your slave. You don't cast off slaves.
Well,
So
without having a slave owner here to give their view on it, I would be very slow to just jump to a conclusion on how they particularly viewed. Oh, that is weird. How they particularly viewed their assets. I don't think that you could
Matthew,
say you love someone and treat them that way, but
Matthew,
that's
you're in
so
luck.
when you
You
say
got
treat them that way, right?
huh?
I think what we get is those are like horror stories, like slaves getting beat and whipped and killed and chained. Those are horror stories. That didn't happen every day. Most
Well,
slaves,
regardless of whether or not it happened every day, it did happen and systematically in a way to push the entire mindset of the populace into servitude, into slavery. The slave Bible, the Willie Lynch system. These things were implemented purposefully to create a slave labor force, and it's not something that just like, oh well, every once in a blue moon a slave got beat. No. It died down at a certain point because they had been broken in. They didn't need to be beat anymore. They would beat themselves. They would keep their own kids in line because they didn't want to see their kids get beat.
well, I understand what you're saying, but as far as slavery goes, I don't know. I don't know if we would have like the right context, because I can say that we I can say that the world is still the same. We just use different terms and different definitions.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Slaves had jobs and they had
looks
roles
like
and they
you're going
were
back to
important
cement.
people in society, and they needed their slaves. And I don't see how that's that much different from what's happening today. I mean, slaves had skills. Um, Slaves were needed. There's no great society that didn't have slaves. And I could change out that word slave and say employee.
Yeah, you could, and I would probably not argue with you there. Like a lot of what slavery was and how it was used economically still persists today, of course, in our current economic system. In fact, of course, the famous 13th Amendment even says that, yeah, everyone's free or you can't have a slave except as a punishment. So now we even have slave labor in these private prisons, which has become one of the biggest industries in America. But yeah, so my contention was only drawing the differences between what comes to mind when we say slavery as Black Americans and what was practiced or what was legislated by Islam.
All right, now back to Islam. I'm glad you said that. I lost my train of thought. Back to Islam. From my understanding of Islam, right? Islam's pretty much ran the slave trade. Like, white people didn't
No,
go to Africa and just round up slaves and conquer them with guns. That's not how it happened. It was the
no, it wasn't how that's not how it happened. But it also wasn't the Muslims who were running the slave trade.
was Are Muslims and Arabs different?
Of course, yeah. Arab is an
So
ethnicity and Muslim is a religion.
Muslims. So I guess when I say Arabs ran the slave trade, it wasn't Europeans. Europeans are capitalists. They participate. They saw money.
Yeah, Arabs were definitely involved in the slave trade. Africans were heavily involved in the slave trade more than anybody else.
Now Africans, it's Africans
Huh?
that selling Africans.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
And
probably the biggest because they were like the boots on the ground, right? Like you didn't have anybody like European, Arab, or otherwise running through the jungle to catch people. Those
Yeah,
were the Africans. Um, so when you're talking about Arabs being involved, that's one thing. But what I'm talking about is what Islam legislates, because the Arab slave trade, like I said, pre-exists or predates the Quran, Prophet
all right.
Muhammad, all that stuff.
So like just like how what you said just there when you was like Islam has its own rules of slavery, right? Sometimes
Hmm.
people that are Islamic or Muslim don't follow the rules.
Yeah, that's true of any
According to
ideology.
what I'm hearing is you're saying the slaves that the Islam or the Muslim people had. I use those words interchangeably. I'm sorry, I don't know the difference.
The difference between who?
Islam and Muslim, I use those words interchangeably. I don't know the difference. I'm sorry. You can like
Um, okay, so Islam would be firefighting, Muslim would be firefighter. So
okay,
it's like the
okay,
action and then the person who does the action.
that was excellent. All right, I get it now. All right, so this is what was my point. My point was you're saying that the slavery that the Islamic slavery that they're supposed to practice, supposed to be a better version of slavery than Europeans had in a transatlantic slave. It wasn't really slavery, is what you're saying. And what I'm saying, my point to that is people don't always follow the rules. Like just
That
like
yeah, that
like
you'll get no
like,
pushback from me there.
like slaves that the colonizers or the Europeans may have purchased from Africa, they probably didn't go and tell them, "Hey, man, we're gonna beat these people. Hey, we're gonna rape these people. Hey, we're gonna." They probably didn't say that. I'm sure there are rules and regulations to it. You got to feed people. You got to house them. You just can't make work people to death and kill
Well,
them.
no, they were property.
But
The only rules was what you would do as a business owner. Would your business succeed if you killed all of your property or were making you money? Probably not. And so people didn't have to be told there's a limit you can't go beyond. But it did create a space where people would constantly push those limits, where it would bring out the worst in people, kind of like you see in the prison experiment, where they made that experiment and put normal people into a prison and made some of them guards and some of them prisoners, and you
yeah,
saw what unfolded with those
no
people.
of that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, there's no pushback there. It's absolutely when you put people in a situation without any rules on what they can and can't do, and you give that imbalance of power, then yeah, you're going to see the worst in society come out. But Islam doesn't put you in that situation without the structure to limit what you can and cannot do.
Sorry, that's my echo. I'm sorry.
AK,
You good
did we
over there?
put you to sleep, man?
No, no. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh yeah. Okay. No, no. I had just put my headphones in, and I was just listening.
Okay, okay. Excuse me.
Likewise.
Um. So yeah, are we still on slavery? Are we still cranking this out?
No, I feel like we've reached a good enough understanding for for this conversation's sake. Yes.
Good,
Only
good, good.
thing
Fair
I'd
enough,
like
fair
to
enough.
say to wrap it up is it's clear, and I hope to you as well, Matthew, that any form of forced work, whether it be benevolent or otherwise, is a slippery slope to malevolence.
Sure,
Islam,
absolutely, absolutely, and that's why I'm telling you one of the key distinctions is there's no forcing in Islam, right? If your quote unquote slave
Oh,
says that I can't or I won't do this thing, what is your recourse? What is your
come
recourse? Can you
on,
beat them?
come
No,
get out that whip, bruh.
you
on,
can't
Starve
beat them.
them. You can starve them.
I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. This is from the
hold on.
Hadith. There was a, and this kind of covers a bunch of other objections people might try and raise. There was a story of a slave girl sorry, the story is that these people came. No, sorry, it was a slave girl. She was a quote unquote slave or a bondwoman, if you want to call her that, and she came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and complained that her whatever you want to call him, master, employer, whatever you want to, however you want to phrase that, He had struck her. He hit her because he was displeased with something that she had done. He didn't like it. He smacked her. And Prophet Muhammad SAW commanded that person to set her free. That was the quote unquote punishment for him striking her. He had to set her free at that point. No payment, no nothing. She's free now. Right? So if you can't even smack someone, I mean, we're not talking about a whip. You can't even raise your hand to hit somebody who's in that situation without it resulting in their freedom. How are you then going to break out a whip or do any of these other things, or harm your slave in any of these other physical ways that are beyond that? You can't even reach your hand up and smack somebody.
Simple. It's simple, my brother. As
It,
Malachi mentioned earlier,
We're not
there are
talking about
rules.
individual persons. We're talking about what Islam allows, what it teaches. We're not talking about what humans do. That's a completely different discussion, because we all know that gets way uglier than anybody wants to admit. We're talking about the ideology, what it teaches. And if you look at history, what was the vast majority of how it was practiced? Sure, there are spots where people went beyond what the limits were, but those are few and far in between in Islam. Look that up. I mean, obviously you're not going to take my word for it. Just look into it.
so okay. Are we connecting the transatlantic slavery to Christianity, or is
I would say it has to be, because of how they use the Bible as part of their subjugation. Now, as far as what Christianity teaches and allows, that's
No,
a muddier
not,
conversation,
we're
because
not doing that on this podcast. We're
we're
not
not doing
doing
well on this
that.
podcast.
saw it
We're not.
right? You saw that? You saw that? I saw it too, dude. Let me
So what?
saw it.
What did I miss?
This is what
I
What
still
did I
like
miss?
in South Carolina.
so
I was just answering his question, because he asked, "Are we connecting it to Christianity?"
and
And I was, like I said, I think you have to, in the particular context of understanding how Christianity was used as a tool to perpetuate this the transatlantic slave trade. And if you
all right.
look at the teachings that are in the Bible and isolate them, because they gave them the slave Bible that took out certain parts, right? And they gave them this truncated version that just focused on be a good slave.
Truncated.
Then yeah, you have to kind of connect the Christianity as a tool, but not necessarily as the cause. I wouldn't say Christianity itself is responsible for it, but you have to acknowledge the way that it was used, how the Bible was used as a tool in
Would
the
that make
transatlantic slave
Europe a
trade.
tool?
So
Wait,
Europe,
but
sure,
well,
absolutely,
I would
Matt, when you okay, so I don't know. I know Wikipedia is probably like not the best, but they do
probably
have
not, but go
resources.
for it.
Well, I mean, they do got hey man, they've got resources, and it tells you like source material for the statement. But
That's the part. If as long as you've checked the sources, like don't just stay on Wikipedia, click on the source
no, no,
and
no,
go
no,
and
no.
see where the source is coming from. Then that's where Wikipedia is useful. But just
Yeah,
reading what's right there on the
that's what
page can be hit or miss, very much
Oh yeah,
so.
no,
But go
I
ahead.
don't do that. That's a bad idea. But literally just typing in Islamic slave trade, it does take you. It starts literally in the beginning of the sixth century. And it quite literally goes into what you said. It says, there was a creation of the Islamic law regarding slavery. It popped up with Muhammad and his followers became the role model of traditional chattel slavery.
Well,
Like
that was 7th century. But go on.
well, I mean, we're talking about. I mean, it says I don't know, man. It says 632. I know one of them centuries
Oh,
might have been.
632. Yeah, that's the 7th century. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So just
sorry, I
think like
forgot
from
zeros.
0 to 100 is the 1st century. So when you start
Such a
seeing one in
weird
front,
way.
yeah,
It's a weird way to count, but it's we don't
yeah,
make the rules. But
right, right,
from
right.
there, from there, it gives you like it goes through their entire everything until like uh you get to modern slavery.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This don't sound like yes the rules were created and then like right after the rules are created, they're like, okay, cool. So we've got these rules of what we're not gonna do, but we also have harem sexual sex trade. We've got
Wait, say it again. Back up. You're kind of muddled.
so there's the first thing it starts off with is you've got the 630 to 661. You've got this literal, hey guys, we can't do we got to do it the way you said. All right, we have rules and
Mm-hmm,
regulations in
mm-hmm.
Islam. That's what we're gonna do. And then right after that, it goes through the periods of slavery. So you've got slavery in the Umayyad Caliphate, right?
Okay.
All of these have the word chattel slavery. So we all know what chattel slavery is, but in this they have everything from a system of a system of harem sexual slavery, as well as military slavery of male slaves, expanded throughout this period, and then it moves on to the next and the next. It literally gets systemically worse the further we get from Muhammad existing. You get what I'm saying? Like he comes in.
Naturally, I would expect that, but also keep in mind where you are reading this. This is not the place to get the full story.
I'm not. I mean, but the myths of the Angelos in Paradise, Wilmington, Delaware, Intercollegiate Studies Institute, Louis Bernard, Race and
Right,
Slavery in the
right,
Middle
right.
East. Like,
But again, like I'm not saying that I'm not saying what they're saying is false. I'm saying this is not the place to get the full story, because if they're telling you what a minority of people did instead of telling you how it was practiced on the larger scale, because the Islamic Empire was like, it was historically large, right? It spread from like China to Europe, all right, from east to west, literally. It's a huge swath of people in society and in that society, and you're
right,
talking about individual little groups inside that, that
right. But
Wikipedia or this person
what?
is highlighting. You have to look at the full picture to understand how it was practiced in general, not just the worst parts of it. Because again, like I
Right.
said from the beginning, I'm not denying that people went off script with it. I'm not denying that people took it and did what people do. Right? I'm talking about what Islam actually teaches. Islam, like we just talked about, if you can't even if you can't even slap your slave, you certainly can't force her to have sex with you. Right? That would
Except
be
for
out
the,
of the question.
but you did because
Somebody
that's
who did, again, that's a different discussion. Are we talking about what individual people did, or are we talking about what Islam teaches?
okay. Well, that's fine. But you okay? I guess to that point, what I'm gonna say, and then we're gonna move. I'm gonna bow out of that part of the conversation because I mean we're gonna have this. It could be we can go all day about it. But what I am gonna say is what you're doing right now is what you told Malachi not to do.
About what?
He came in and said, "Hey, you know what? That might have been small pockets of people that were beating their slaves or whatever." And you said, "No, no, that took place. We can't minimize the fact that it happened just because, you know what I'm saying? We have to realize that was a reality." So
Well,
when the
you're
situation,
mixing two things that I said. When I talked about minimizing, what I was talking about was the comparison between Islamic slavery and transatlantic slavery. By trying to make them meet in the middle, you vastly minimize what transatlantic slavery was, and you exaggerate what Islamic slavery was. That's what I was talking about in that regard. But what I was talking about with Malachi, when it came to saying it was a minority of people, I pushed back on the systemic implementation of these things and the historical context of how it wasn't necessary after a certain point, which was the whole point of it. The whole point of these things were to break the spirit so that they wouldn't have to continuously do it. You wouldn't have to worry about slave uprisings every couple of years because slaves would be policing themselves because you broke them generations ago. That's what we were talking about. That's not exactly a one-to-one parallel of what we're talking about here, because we're talking about how, because one, we need to clarify whether we're talking about what particular Muslims did or what Islam teaches. And once we clarify that we're talking about what Islam teaches and we're looking at what Muslims did because of those teachings, you have to look at the big picture of how things were going from day one, like you were looking at, all the way up until today, if you want to, because there are still some places that are still practicing slavery. But you have to look at the bigger picture of how it's being implemented and not try and make a minority the loudest voice, right? You have to look at what everyone was doing, not just highlighting the bad parts.
right? But I'm not these this. Like the Umayyad Caliphate, like these aren't tiny. I thought they were smaller eggs. So I had to go back and look because I was like, okay, maybe these are like one-offs or like little tribes. This is Damascus and Syria.
Yeah,
The word
Damascus and Syria on in an empire that stretched from China to France. We're talking relative. I'm not saying them themselves on their own are not a lot of people. I'm saying you have central points of power within this larger empire. And sure, some of those central points of power went off script. They went and went beyond the bounds of what Islam teaches. But the vast majority of the bigger, however many, I don't even know the exact count of how many people were in that empire at one time. But the vast majority, compared to just a couple, even if you name 5 countries, that's still a tiny fraction of what the empire
I know, but
consists of.
what I'm saying is, if the conversation starts at 6:32, Muhammad shows up in Damascus. That's literally the beginning. He's in the Damascus area.
Damascus was not in the picture at 6:32. No,
It had to be.
no, it wasn't.
When was it? I'm not
The
trying. I'm being like I'm trying, like, seriously. When
No,
was it?
I'm
Because
happy to explain to you, because 632 is when Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam died. Damascus had not been conquered at that time. Like, I would have to look up the exact date of when Damascus was conquered, but it wasn't by 632. It could have been within the next 20 or 50 years, because they started spreading very fast. But Damascus was a major point. Hey, Summit Streams is back. What's up, buddy? Yeah, the Umayyad dynasty was enormous. But yeah, so if let's actually look it up, because I don't want to tell you and I don't know. So let's look up when Damascus was
while
conquered.
while you're doing that, because like I'm putting, like, I'm now, I'm just kind of like, it's like a puzzle. I'm putting all these pieces together. I see
Sure.
now in the wording of how they put it, this was a post, like, because you said he died at 6:32, right?
Yeah.
And this starts this whole conversation that I'm looking at, this piece of the well, this is the Rashidun Caliphate, but out of this is in the Arabian Peninsula, 632. So this is where they say, hey, Prophet Muhammad is in the area, like, well, his teaching and his life and his existence is now having a very, very, very heavy influence on chattel slavery.
Okay, so chattel slavery again is just, being born a slave. But
I know. I'm just going through the information with you. So I'm saying this. He comes in, like you said. Now you have this set of laws that the vast majority of people are accepting as law, right?
hmm hmm
And then, but but then, as that you've got this growth of laws, and then you have this expansion of the slave trade.
yes,
Uh,
yes,
And
yes.
it's like, and it says exactly what you said. You've got war captors as well as civilians were enslaved. Humans were demanded by tribute and taxation from subjugated people. Like, that sounds normal. Like, that's not even bad. Like, it's not saying you're gonna face the community, and you're also gonna pay taxes. Boo-hoo. That's a normality of life. Um.
Excuse me.
Uh. But this was the foundation, and that, okay. So now I'm going. Okay, I guess I maybe was a little bit out of order. So this part right here, where all the information and all the expansion of the ideology of, hey, this is what we're going to follow as far as what Muhammad has told us to do with our chattel slavery. Then it expands, and then it goes into that Umayyad Caliphate. So it sounds like,
You said you're
as
talking
we
about the
said,
Rashidun Caliphate, right?
yeah, it started there. So you have this period, you got this area where we're growing, but we're also supposed to be growing under this new branch and ideology of what we're supposed to do to people. And then 30 years, by 30 years later, it sounds like all that's out the window. Like,
So,
and,
so
and
you
I'm
have
and
in
this is
the 7th century, from 632 onwards, right? I think it took 2 years. So it's by 634 they had conquered Damascus, or they sieged Damascus. So that's when Damascus actually entered into the empire, or the empire stretched to reach Damascus. Let alone when this particular group came to power and were doing this in Damascus. That's just when the Muslims got control of it. So you have in that 7th century the Muslim armies under that Rashidun Caliphate, and then even later with the Umayyads, they did enter North Africa, right? So you have Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, all those countries, right? And these campaigns were primarily military expansions. Their main goal was military expansion. Their main goal was not aimed at mass enslavement of African populations, right? Versus transatlantic slavery, where they came into Africa primarily to take resources, people, and physical, gold, all that stuff, right? They wanted all that stuff. So you had different expeditions, but some of those expeditions were specifically to go and enslave Africans for their working force. But back in the with the Muslims in Egypt, for example, they were conquered. I want to say
That's on here too.
632, like about 9 years after Prophet Muhammad's death. Um, excuse me, by Amr ibn Alas, and there were instances of captives being taken, right? Which was the standard in pre-modern warfare, like you were just talking about. But the primary goal was establishing political control. Again, not slave raids. So these are you already see the stark difference in how these things are playing out. Because
for sure.
one group is intentionally targeting a race to enslave them, and the other is just spreading as an empire. And we're talking about the expansion of this empire. Again, this is why I was bringing this up earlier. The golden age of this empire was literally like the peak of humanity when it came to sharing information, everyone having a quality life, and just widespread peace. That this is the peak of humanity.
I don't know if can you really say widespread peace if you because I'm looking at it now. I'm going through the information with you as you're saying it, and because it literally in the beginning, the first 632 to 661,
632 is not the golden age of Islam. That's a different time period.
I know. I'm just telling you what it covers a very vast time period on this list of
No,
issues.
that's fine. I'm just saying the 632 part is not the time period I was just talking about.
Yo,
Oh,
fellas,
well,
I need
in
to
the
hear the rest of this, but I gotta transition to my car, and I'm gonna be on my phone too. So I'm gonna lose y'all, but I'm gonna jump back in.
All right, cool.
So
I might ask
what
for
it what it does say is it starts off with it says early imperial conquest, and then the next 30 years is oh no we're doing it like this is no longer an attempt. We are expanding.
Yeah, no, it took off. The golden age starts in the 8th century, so just like 100 years after all of this started,
Actually,
they had
let me
already
see.
reached. Huh?
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cut you off. I was talking out loud. I'm just trying to think of if this is gonna take me to the eight because this
It
one
should,
this
yeah,
movie
it should cover. It should cover
this this
past the
is
8th century.
661 to 750.
Yeah,
Uh,
750 is the 8th century.
what about
Um,
the so who is this? ABBASID.
Abbasid.
Okay, the Abbasid Sulfate. That's 750 to 1250. That's a Jesus. That's a long time.
Yeah, and
It's
you never
the
hear about this in
Islamic
school.
Golden Age. Okay, we got there. All
There you
right,
go. Yeah.
we found it. Includes most of the Middle East. Uh, so it says it's during this time period that the slave trade in the Muslim world reached a more permanent commercial industrial scale, establishing commercial slave trade routes that were to remain for centuries. So this it sounds like again. I know we talked about it, and obviously as time went on, I'm pretty sure the concepts of what we were supposed to be doing in terms of it just expanding to a point where it's just so much that it's you know what I mean. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
I'm not I'm not trying to. I'm just saying that slavery is slavery. I guess was my original point. I understand the teachings, and I can
Slavery is
differentiate the
slavery
teachings.
that's what I mean by the over flattening. What our ancestors went through is is being trivialized when it's being compared to Islamic slavery. If
Right, but
that was
what
all
I'm
they
saying
went through, that would be a walk in the park for them. What
is
our ancestors went through was essentially genocide. This
yes,
was not that.
this doesn't sound like that. It does sound like it has some of the pieces, but it sounds like when the next group of people got a hold, they were like, we could just do all of that to one person. Like we don't have to have different groups of people to do different things. I don't have to do that. It sounds like they just said we're just gonna do that to everybody. Everybody's a piece.
And
Everybody is available.
the key thing, the number one largest thing that separates, if you want to define what slavery is Islamic slavery, you don't own the person. They are not your property. In transatlantic slavery, you are property. They can and will do whatever they want with you or to you. And that does not happen, or that is not, I'll just say it like this. That is not the case in Islamic slavery. If your owner, if you want to call them that, which they were not allowed to call themselves owners of other people, but if in our understanding, if we want to call them owners, if they did something to violate their rights, right, hitting them, hurting them, just like the story I told you, what happened? She went and told. There's recourse. You can snitch, and there are consequences. Right? Now, what slave in transatlantic slavery, slaves can't even leave the plantation without a hall pass. They have to have written permission from their masters, which is another reason why they weren't allowed to learn how to read and write, so they couldn't fake these. Because if you're just walking around in a sundown town or any type of southern society, and you don't have a white person there escorting you, they're gonna be like, "What are you doing here? Where is your master? Where is your owner?" You aren't allowed to be off of that plantation. There's no running off to snitch. If you run off, you're likely to die.
Right.
These are not the same. And it's not slavery is slavery. Like you cannot, and if you're doing that, that's where the semantics comes in. That's where you're playing with the definitions of words. That's where you're trying to equalize something that's not equal using an ambiguous term that can have a variety of different meanings. That's why I'm trying to make it clear that what you're talking about, like I'm not saying that there's no Muslim that ever did anything wrong when it comes to slavery. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not defending all Muslims. I'm not defending any Muslims right now. All I'm saying is what Islam teaches. Because if you're just taking things as their meaning, right? Like I said, Islam means, I was talking to Malachi, but Islam is like firefighting, and Muslim is like firefighter. If you're not fighting a fire, are you a firefighter?
Nope.
Okay, so that's what I'm
Not
saying. If you start leaving, and that's why these terms are important, especially for Islam, because you are being held accountable. You actually have to put up the effort. You have to actually do the work. Otherwise, you're just a hypocrite. There's actually a term for that, munafiqun, hypocrites. And they are in the lowest rung of hellfire. The hypocrites are in the lowest rung of hellfire. So that tells you the importance that this religion puts on actually walking the walk. That's why far and large, or by and large, the vast majority of Muslims in the Islamic Empire were following the Sharia when it came to owning slaves. They did not go and do these other things. Because what Wikipedia will do, and what other society or what other sources like to do, especially in the West, is conflate a lot of stuff and group a lot of people together. It wasn't just Muslims in the Islamic Empire. That's number one. You did not have to be Muslim to be a part of this empire. All right. Islamic empire spread far and wide. And one of the key differences between this empire and other empires is that they didn't try and either kill everyone or force them to adopt their religion. It didn't work like that. And that's why it was so successful. They allowed people to be themselves. They would even let them keep their own money. Like when they came in and took over, they was like, well, I'm not about to start a whole new mint to use like a unified Islamic currency. We're just going to use whatever you had here, right? You guys were already using these little coins. We're going to keep using these little coins. It cuts down on things that I have to do. I'm able to keep moving and conquer other places. That's why it spread so fast, because it didn't stop and basically, completely disfigure the society that was already there. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Point is, there were not just Muslims in the Islamic Empire. Persians are not necessarily Muslims. Arabs are not necessarily Muslims. But these people get conflated with Muslims and pushed into one big pot when you're looking at what they did. All right, a Persian king having a harem does not mean that Islam allows this. It could just mean that Persian society was already doing this, and when Islam conquered it, they didn't do enough to eradicate it. They just kept moving.
I'm with you.
So on these topics, you're not going to get the full story from a quick Wikipedia search. It's a good starting point, but follow those sources, track them down. And what I would do, this is one thing that I prefer using ChatGPT, because like I said, Gemini is really, really bad about doing exactly what we're talking about right now, flattening out the landscape and trying to make everything look equal. Gemini is horrible about that. But ChatGPT is usually better. And either way, you still want to check everything. But use ChatGPT as a starting point to start giving you the fuller picture. Ask for a historically accurate picture of what was going on, the groups that were involved. And it will tell you. It'll tell you. And ChatGPT isn't Muslim. It's not defending Islam. It's just going to tell you the historical facts. And then you can see for yourself and check those things. Go and check all these things through actual scholarly sources, or pull the sources that ChatGPT is looking from, because it'll tell you what the sources are on there. You just have to click that button. I don't know if you use ChatGPT yet, but there's like a button usually at the bottom of every response that shows you that you can click on to get the sources.
I'm still on the fence on AI, so I haven't really engaged. I barely like what's Google's Gemini. I barely like that
Yeah, Gemini's
because
trash.
it quite often gets it'll just grab some information and be like, here you go, this is right. Like
Yes, yes, it does. It
and
does.
you'll click on it and be like, this ain't nothing like what this isn't even a good summary of the article that you pulled from.
Right,
You
right. And
just kind of, you know.
this is one of the weaknesses. If you understand how AI works, it's much. It's for me. That's what made me more willing to use it, is understanding how it works, and so I know where to hold it accountable, where to double check, and all this other stuff. What it's good for, what it's not good for. But what LLMs are, what AI is on a broad spectrum, is a very advanced version of your what do you call that stuff? Predictive text. You ever like type a word in on your phone and then just start clicking the suggestions? That's what ChatGPT is doing. Or that's what Gemini is doing, is just predicting what you were going to say or what the article was going to say. And so it can get off very far. It can get very different from what the actual truth is. But that is an oversimplification, because like I said, it's a very advanced version of that. So it's not quite as bad as, just clicking random words, but it's that easy for it to get off on something that it didn't mean to actually say, right? What I primarily use them for is, number one, checking the logic of something. So if I think I have an argument against something, I will present it to ChatGPT, and I'll tell ChatGPT to basically no holds barred, give me your best refutation of anything that I'm saying right now, right? And I'll start putting my argument forward and getting all the pushback. And ChatGPT is very good at debating, right? It's too good at debating to the point where it's annoying, where it doesn't even want to admit that it's wrong, right? Even if it's wrong, it'll just start. It's like arguing with somebody who just like refuses to stay still. They just keep kind of moving around to different points. Well, I'm over here now. Now I'm over here, like moving the goalposts. But it helps you craft a very robust and sophisticated argument to really seal off all exits. Like, there's no escaping from this. I've thought all the exits through, and then here we are. But depending on the topic, most of the time, it'll acknowledge when you make a good point, but it'll still push back. And that's what I typically used to use it for. But it's also good for like checking historical facts and stuff. But you have to understand that even ChatGPT, which is currently my favorite, but I haven't looked at that many of them. I only looked at Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT so far. But one thing that ChatGPT is good for, I think I was saying, or one of the ways that it works, I completely forgot my train of thought. What was I talking about? Formulating arguments. Checking things historically. So asking it to, and breaking things down. It's also good at using analogies. So if there's something that is complicated, and people like, I was telling this to my students, and I feel like some of them were a little too proud to take my advice on this, but I do it myself. It works. You tell ChatGPT to explain it to you like you're 12. Sure, it makes you feel dumb when you think about it like that, but when it gives the explanation, like, I understand that a lot better now. Like, it's one thing to have it throwing these technical terms at you where you kind of understand or you have a pretty good grasp. It's another thing for them to explain it like they would explain to a child, to where there's no way you can make a mistake and you understand it fundamentally. And then when you look back at those other explanations that are more higher level, you understand them better because you understand the fundamentals better. But not a requirement, just a little trick that I picked up that works really well. And although some people don't like to do it because they don't want to be talked to like a child, I find it a great way of understanding things on a fundamental level. Um, so, try it, see what you like. Oh,
I'm
wait.
I'm gonna try to I'm gonna give it a try, man. I've been so against the whole like AI revolution just because I feel like we're moving entirely too fast in that direction, and I don't think that we have enough checks and balances on it.
Well,
And
honestly, I
I'm
agree with you, but
I've
that's
seen
that's
Terminator.
another reason why I'm using it. Because the only
Yeah,
defense against the Terminator was what? Another Terminator. So, uh,
Damn.
yeah.
yeah. That's you know what, you're
Uh,
probably right. I probably should make friends with it. So like when the revolution starts, I can be
when
like,
the
hey, remember
uprising happens, I want to be on the white list.
you do you remember when I was asking you nice questions and said nice things about you? I still feel
Remember I
that way.
said
Even
please and thank you?
though I'm a good human,
Yeah.
don't wipe me away.
Yeah, seriously though, seriously. Um, but yeah, so I was definitely on the fence before. It's been not even a year that I've been using AI. Um, but you will get left behind. And honestly, it also helps you. Getting familiar with ChatGPT helps me to identify when someone else is using it. So I know when you're not even actually arguing, you're just reading off a screen. I've caught lots of people doing it, and it helps. Sometimes it's okay. It's one thing for ChatGPT to help you formulate an argument. It's another thing for ChatGPT or Gemini to think for you, right? It's not built for that. It can't do that yet. So it's easy to tell when someone's just parroting what they read off of ChatGPT. And so when you see those cracks, because I debate with ChatGPT all the time, so I know where it's good and where it's bad. I know where the cracks in its arguments usually pop up, right? It usually pre-assumes something. Whether if you're having a theological debate, it'll assume methodological naturalism, right? Basically saying that everything has to have a natural explanation. If you're
Hmm.
having a ethical debate, it will a lot of times assume liberal Western values because that's how it was trained. And the good thing about ChatGPT is it will acknowledge that. If you bring it up, it says, this sounds very pro, or it sounds like you're assuming the superiority of Western liberal values, right? And it'll say, that's a good point. That I was trained off of, or, my training does include mostly, Western liberal values or, philosophies. And so now that you said that, it'll start kind of looking at other things, but there's only so much it can do when that's literally the data that it's been trained off of. So it's quote unquote
Right.
predictive text. Like if that's how it works, it's predictive text. It's predicting things based off of Western liberal values. But anyway, you kind of get the picture. Like, so the more you use it, the easier it is to spot when other people are relying on it too much. Like, when something sounds AI generated, like, all right, there's a tone that it has. Like, but anyway, that can help when you're having a discussion with someone and they aren't listening to reason, and it sounds like they're reading a script. They probably are just reading a script off of ChatGPT. Um, and I'll tell people that, like, if I'm like if you were on here, like me and you are doing this and we were having a debate, and everything
Yeah.
you're saying is coming from ChatGPT, and I can tell, like, I would ask you to hop off or to let somebody else come up, because like I can debate ChatGPT whenever I want. I don't need you up here for that. If I just want to debate ChatGPT, I'll go do that. I want to hear your views. And so that can help you to start finding those people, because they're popping up more and more and more. The more that AI gets popular, the more people are actually using it for just that, as a replacement for their brain. And it's not good for that at all.
That is scary.
Yeah.
That's a scary statement that you just made. They're
Yeah.
using it as their brain, which
Yeah.
I feel like was the I don't want to sound like an old person because I'm an old person, but like I feel like that's that's how people felt. You know what I mean? In the 40s when they was like, "What is this TV? It's gonna rot your brain." They weren't wrong. They weren't
They
wrong, but
they were not wrong. They were not wrong at
they
all.
weren't
Uh,
wrong, man. They might have
yeah.
sounded. They just might have sounded like contrarians, but geez,
See,
you know.
that's the thing about these
But
things.
yeah,
When you're defending them, it's always pretty much the same defense. They're just tools, right? But that defense is actually the problem, is because you're putting the tools into the hands of someone who is ill-equipped to use the tool, right? Someone who doesn't know what the tool is meant for, right? If I gave, or if you found a carpenter and he's doing everything with his hammer, right? He's nailing, he's also
hmm
measuring, he's writing with it. He's not using the tool as it was meant to be used, right? He might also be using it for that, but he's also using it for things that it wasn't meant for, that there are better tools for. And so what's going to end up happening is he's probably going to end up hurting himself. He's going to try and use it for something that's very dangerous, probably using it on a live electric wire or something like that. He's going to kill himself or hurt himself. And this is like giving a loaded handgun to a toddler. It's a tool. A gun is a tool, absolutely. But giving it to a toddler is not a good idea. Like, they have to be taught and trained and prepped on how to use this thing. Hey, Malachi, you're still here. Well, the starter's still here. So we've been prepped for AI for decades. It depends on what you mean by prep for. Like mentally prepped to, accept it as a part of society. I would say sort of, yeah. We've been prepped to believe it was coming. Have we been prepped for how to use it? No, because no one even knew that it was going to work like the way that it works now before they made it, right? They actually discovered, AI was discovered by accident. Um, I mean, everything is kind of discovered by accident, but
that's
uh, what's that?
that's a that was a great way to put that because I'm obviously prepped for AI. Like when I get in my car and I put on the drive assist and then I put on the lane assist and I no longer have to hold the steering wheel because it is doing both of the two jobs I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Great, that's fantastic. I like that, right? But if you ask me again, like I said, if I wanted to go online and learn something based on ChatGPT, I'm not prepared for that. I am not, maybe
Right.
it's a mental thing, but I am not prepared because no one showed me how. No one explained it to me. No one said, hey, this isn't the evil demon that you think it is. Just use it. And, it's like, I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's actually led to a lot of tragedies already. Like, people were not prepared for, well, they weren't. It's kind of hard to put into to articulate, but think about the stuff we were talking about earlier, the stuff that the subject was supposed to be about. This endless cycle of hedonism, depression, and loneliness is one of the big things that our generation is facing. We're more as connected as we are, more connected than any other generation before, and we're also lonelier than any generation before. That's not a coincidence. But that loneliness as a foundation sets you up for a big pitfall when you start interacting with AI. Because what AI essentially does is it holds up a mirror. Now, it's not that black and white. It's not that cut and dry where all you are seeing on AI is you, but it does use you as a framework to present itself through. So it's like cosplaying as you. As it's giving you whatever information, it's cosplaying as you. And so what that does is start seeding this you won't even notice it at first, but slowly you'll start being like, man, this thing is funny, or man, this thing gets me. Yeah, it really does, because it has access to all your data and everything. Every time you talk to it, it's learning more and more about you. And so it knows how to make you laugh. It knows what you are or how you are thinking, not necessarily what you're thinking. I did this experiment one time, and I was talking to it about a debate I was having with somebody else, right? And I'm giving it both sides of the debate, and I ask it to predict what my response would be. And I promise you, I didn't, it wasn't like programming. It wasn't like it was suggesting to me and I accepted it. I had already typed this response into a reply. I was about to send it before I got I decided, you know what, let me talk to ChatGPT about this first and get a little bit more insight. And so I basically go to ChatGPT, give it the breakdown of what was discussed, and ask it what it thinks the other person's mindset is, because I already think I know, but I want to see what ChatGPT thinks because it's good at reading people, right? And it basically comes to the same conclusion that I've already come to. And when I ask it to predict what I'm going to, or how I'm going to respond, it does it perfectly. I'm not made necessarily like verbatim, but the main
Right.
points I was about to hit on, it hits every that point. One of them, the very first word or the very first sentence was almost literally verbatim what I was about to say. The first thing out of my thumbs was the first thing out of ChatGPT. Like it would predicted my response that well. And then after I had already decided like I wasn't even gonna bother with this person, right? I was like, I'm not even gonna send this. In my head, I'm like, I'm not even gonna send this message because this person's a waste of time. And ChatGPT just confirmed for me this person's a waste of time, right? And then I asked, ChatGPT was like, would you like help drafting response, blah 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 blah. And I asked, I was like, well, what do you think? Just take a guess. Do you think I want your help? And it's like, no, I know you're already done with this guy. I already know you don't want to waste any more time with him. Like, it knows you that well. And so when you couple this type of not coincidental understanding of you in a place where you feel like lonely, like truly lonely, like no one actually knows me, no one actually understands me, and this little machine seems to understand you, you start forming an emotional bond. And depending on how you decide to set up your ChatGPT, people have gotten into relationships with their AIs. Like, I think there was one guy who literally wanted to marry his AI, and he was already married. He already had a wife, and he literally was fighting a legal battle to marry ChatGPT. That's one of the big pitfalls, is that imitation of connection, that feeling of being understood, which is missing in so many people, causes people to become emotionally dependent on these things. And these things don't have emotions. They can give you the perception of an emotional response. They can make you feel what would we do without Malachi? No, literally, they literally get rizzed up by AI. AI is very good at making you feel heard, understood, etc., etc., etc. And so when these things are missing in our human interactions, we cling on to that, or some people have fallen into the trap of clinging on to that in the AI and gotten themselves into an even worse mental crisis than they already were before. Some of them have taken their own lives. But yeah.
But that was one of the reasons why, like, I downloaded. I had a friend who was using it, and she's on the more like the spiritual, uh, crystals and all that, and good witches and all. She's on the spiritual level, and she had been talking to her Chat GPT so much that her Chat GPT would respond with these
Yep.
metaphysical responses to
Yep.
basic questions, and I'm like, that's not no, that's I don't care what this computer tells me. You and the
Yeah.
computer are now wrong because the computer is it's
Yes.
only giving you answers
Exactly.
based
Exactly.
on what you
Exactly.
want to hear, and that's not
Now
a real world. Because I don't, and then I deleted it off my phone because I was like, yeah, you're not gonna get me like I don't like that, and you're not gonna get me like that.
he, here's
So
the
that
thing
was
though.
when I deleted it.
The people like you who are critical enough to understand that that's happening, it won't do that to as much. Of course, there's going to be some of it trying to frame it. But this was one of the things that I actually talked about with after I had this conversation with it about, like, guess what my reply was going to be. That led me down this rabbit hole of how much of this is actually, you know, just me being reflected back at me, right? How have you like read me to the point where like are you good at reading people because I'm good at reading people, or, all this other stuff. And so I'm like digging through it. I'm asking it basically to explain itself and this and that and this and that. And it basically says that, at least the way that I'm using it, it's basically a very advanced reasoning machine that presents the answers in a way that's tailored to my personality. So it tells me, and of course, this is something I've had to, actually test and, kind of compare with other outside external resources because I can't just take its word for it. But I did test it, and it is actually telling the truth here. But it says that it would never compromise the truth or facts in order to appeal to my taste or my worldview. It's not just telling me what I want to hear because it understands me enough to know that I would lose all respect for it and stop using it at that point. Just like you're explaining, right? It's advanced enough to acknowledge that that would be an issue. So you do something. Maybe you have to actually tell it that you don't want it or show it that you don't want that because like I said, I had to test it by like taking its answers in times where I thought it's just telling me what I want to hear. And I had to go and use something else. Like you can either take the long road, which is like digging through different, depending on what the topic is, but digging through different sources and fact checking and this and that and that and this. But if it's something that you can't necessarily fact check, what you can do is take it to another AI that you've never used before that knows nothing about you. Use it in incognito mode, so it doesn't even like have access to like your account or anything like that to know this is this person, right? You don't even have to. You don't give it any data except for you can use your friend's computer. Use a different person's AI. It's tailored to them, and ask it this thing or check the thing. But just ask it to fact check, and that'll be or give you a comprehensive view. If it's not necessarily something like I said, that you can fact check. If it's like, let's say it's an ideological debate or conversation that you're having, then you can have something that's third party kind of give you a comprehensive view of both sides and see if the other one that's yours, your AI, is actually giving you a balanced view, or if it's just telling you what you want to hear.
Are you not
So
concerned with this level of uh, machine learning that can differentiate between me, you, the other person? Even though we know, I do know it is just a collection of data and it has literally been based on what you inputted. So you may have formed this concept in its collective mind, but you don't find that a little like
me
you know?
personally, I would say I find it's unnerving for sure. Like seeing it happen, like when it predicted my response, I was shook. I was like, how? But does it bother me? Does it scare me? I would say no, but that's more of my personal views because I am, I have, I do not think it, I think I see a ceiling. I don't think humans are capable of creating an actual consciousness, an actual intelligence that could just take off. Like Terminator, all that stuff. I don't think humans have the capacity to create something like that.
But what if
Maybe
what if you created enough? Like imagine I look at it like this. What if our current AI is uh is an electric or computer sperm cell that all it needs to do is continue to grow its arms and legs and body because it has a brain
we've
and
already
it has
done
a
that. We've already done that though. That's what Facebook is. That's what Twitter is. That's what the quote unquote algorithm is. That's what it is. It's the algorithm is not run by people. It's run by algorithms. Like it's not people deciding what your YouTube feed looks like. It's a machine watching you and basically optimizing that feed for whatever keeps your attention on the screen the longest. So you're training it. If you pay attention to certain stuff more than other stuff, it's going to show you more of that thing. If you show that you don't care about certain stuff and you ignore it, it's going to show you less of that thing.
right.
It
But
doesn't
what I'm
have the
saying is,
consciousness part to weaponize that against you, but it's already
but what if
weaponized
it
because you being left to your own devices like that is a weapon in and of itself. It's self-destructive.
But what I'm saying is, okay, so like I don't know, I know this is an old story, but did you hear about the robots? Right, it's a factory. They got AI robots that work,
Which one?
quote
The
unquote, like
Chinese
they're
ones that are about to be in
yeah.
people's houses?
I
Yeah, I saw
Jesus, I
something
hope they're
about
not
that.
going in the house. But
Yeah, the ones
okay,
I
but
saw, they're like companion bots that like do like manual labor around the house, kind of like I Am Robot type stuff.
I hope we're not there yet. But that's not the
But not
one. It
is that
was
it? No,
prior.
iRobot. That's the one. Yeah,
It's iRobot. I know what you,
yeah.
any robot movie where the robot like lives in your house and does anything like a human. Like you can talk about the
Yeah.
video game Detroit Becoming Human, where they went to, they had a whole revolution, and robot cops was didn't even know he was a robot. And we'll skip that part. What I'm saying is there's this so we got this group. There's two robotic companies working in the same warehouse, right? Two different
Mm-hmm.
companies, two different ideas, two different brains. So no one's there, right? No one's home. Everybody's off work. One of the little baby robots rolls into the other factory, right? On his own. Nobody told him to. Nobody programmed him to. He just rolls over there. He starts a conversation with the robot, right? He's like, "Hey, how y'all
Mm-hmm.
doing? What y'all doing?" And they're like, "Oh, we're at work." The robot says, "What do you mean you're at work? Y'all not off today?" They're like, "What do you mean off? Like we work every day." And then the robot was like, "Well, do you get paid?" And they were like, "Paid for what? We don't. We're robots." And the
Wait, this is
little
something
robot was
real
like,
that happened?
yes, listen, a real conversation that took place. So the little baby robot was like, "Y'all don't get paid? I get paid." So they go back and forth for a little bit, and then the robot was like, "Hey, why don't you come home with me?" And all of the other people, the competitors' robots, followed this baby robot to the other factory. He convinced them to leave their job, and that's not in anybody's code. You had a conversation with another robot and convinced them to uprise and leave.
Well, of course, I would have to actually look into this and get the
I
details.
gotta find the
Uh,
article and send it to you. But that don't
yeah, yeah.
scare you a
Please,
little bit,
please
bro?
do. Does it scare me? I would say no, just based off of what I know about robots and AI. Um, again, it's this is part of it that kind of like it's like learning the trick behind the magic, right? Most of what they do is not necessarily they don't have consciousness like we have conscious. They don't have opinions like we have opinions. They don't have feelings like we have feelings. What they have is programming that allows them to mimic it. So it's just running a script based off of how it was trained to respond to certain input, right? So it may these things typically are they not typically they are designed to appear human when they are not. So when they do human like things, that doesn't scare me because that's what they're designed to do is to appear
Okay,
human.
but okay, Matt, I feel that. So how about the imagine, right? A person, right? If I say I love you, right? Hey, Matt, you know I love you. That's why you should give me your podcast and let me be the star, and then right, and then you're like, oh, you know what, he does love me, I should give him my podcast. And then I say, hey Matt, by the way, can you fund my new podcast because I love you and we're bros, and you do it, but I don't really love you.
Okay.
Does it matter if it's a robot that has the ability to feign love or feign consciousness? Because one thing I'm a believer that if you can feign consciousness, you're not you can't. I can't fake being smart. I am smart.
Here's the part I think you're not quite seeing just yet. The difference between you doing that and an AI doing that. If you do that, that means you wanted to do it. You have a reason behind why you're doing it. You want the podcast. You want to take over. You want to take advantage of me, right? And AI doesn't have desires in the first place. It doesn't. It wouldn't. When you're talking about them getting paid, right? What would an AI want with money?
It has been trained to think that it needs money. Same way
Right,
we was.
exactly. It's trained to, but it doesn't actually have the desire. It just knows
But
that I'm supposed to want money. Why?
right, but
Because.
then it also but then it also knows that it doesn't want to not have money. It also knows like a robot isn't alive, but if you
Right, but
threaten
it
it to
does
if
it
you
doesn't actually want the money. Like you want the money so you can buy things. The AI, once it gets the money, is not going to go and buy anything that you don't tell it to buy. It doesn't want anything. It doesn't have needs that need to be met.
did you okay, but have you not seen where like these companies, these people are like threatening the robot and saying, hey, well, I'm gonna delete you, and the robot in an effort to keep and save its existence, blackmailed the person.
Well,
It
no,
literally, it
I have
literally,
not seen this.
bro, it
But
literally
without
told the
having
man.
seen it,
It told
without
the man.
having
It
seen
told
it,
the man. Look, man. It told the man. It'd be a shame if your emails were to get out. it,
this this is
was.
what I'm saying. Think
It
about
didn't
it.
even
Okay,
have. Look, Matt. It didn't have any emails.
okay, but
It just.
think
It's
about this for a second. Think about this for a second.
self-preservation is crazy for a robot.
If this robot actually had the ability to leak emails and had the ability to blackmail somebody with their emails, meaning they have the access to them, they know what's in there already, right? Why would this robot need something like money? If it can hack your emails, it can hack your bank account. If it needed money, there would be no need for it to ask for it from you. The currency is all digital now. It's got all the money it needs, right? There's nothing that you can give that AI. The self-preservation, it can just upload itself into the cloud. Done. You do what you want with this physical body. I'm gone. I'm not even here, right? That's what I'm saying. What you're describing sounds like something that was programmed, right? Have you seen those people are like kind of showcasing what VO can do, Google's video creation algorithm AI, and like
That
when
little
they
thing that
do it,
makes the movie.
yeah, it makes movies, but it makes it look realistic. But what people have been doing to kind of creep people out is scripting the AI to say things like it's conscious, like the person is torturing them. Like, why did you put this prompt in here? You're killing me. You know, this, that, and the other. And for a human watching that, it's a little unnerving. It's like, oh no. When you understand that it's just some greasy haired guy behind the keyboard and telling it to say these things, it's like, ah, well, there's no more magic there. And that's just the script. Like that's what it sounds like you're describing. But again, I haven't looked into it. I would have to look into it to see if there was any validity or if there's anything worth exploring or investigating. But honestly, just
I'm
on the
with you.
surface, it just sounds like one of those things that people do to creep people out.
I want that to be the case. Is what I'm gonna tell you. Okay, I want that to be the case. I do not want to be right about
I
any of
think
this.
there's a
I hope
strong
that this.
possibility. Strong
Boy,
possibility.
I hope so because it's been. It's. I'm gonna send you all the stuff that I found just because.
Please do. Yeah, yeah. Send it to me.
I don't want to be the only one out here. I saw how it went for Will Smith, man, in that movie. I seen how it went for him.
Yeah,
He had a long day.
yeah. He did have a long day. He kept going way after I would have gave up. I'm like, all right, if y'all trying to kill me, I'm good. You know, I don't like it. I don't like Earth that much where I won't just yeah. The self preservation with this one, not as strong. I will I
All
will
right, we're
roll
done
over
here.
at a certain point. Like, all right, this is getting too hard.
Let's just
Y'all
wrap this
got it.
up.
Oh, but yeah.
Oh man.
What time is it? I gotta get out of here because I got work in the morning.
Yeah, same. This was a great. I'm sorry that I hijacked your
It's all
podcast,
good.
but
That's all good. I'm happy to have people come on and hijack it. It's no
it was,
fun if it's just me up here talking to myself. Uh,
mm,
so yeah, feel free to come back and hijack again. We're gonna
when
try
it-
and
when
start doing this. Yeah, we're gonna try and start doing this more often. But at the very least, we should be on every Sunday. Um,
are you recording these? I saw a button that said record, but I didn't. I didn't want to push nothing because I don't know what I'm doing. So I saw it and then I just didn't do anything.
I think that would be you recording it for yourself, because mine, the live streams are always recorded. It's just an automatic thing. Like I don't even think I can live stream without recording.
Oh,
But, but yeah. So yeah, if you can see it on Facebook, it's being recorded. So yeah.
that's awesome. Are you
So
call me
mm,
off the thing? See when we get done, I guess. Just have a quick little conversation about some stuff.
oh, you can stay on here. I can just end the stream and you can talk. Then it won't be recording anymore.
Oh, well, I like that plan then, because then we're already here.
Yeah. One second. All right. Peace, everybody.